size yansıyan tarafım bu. Hani oyun içerisinde, takım içerisinde hani normal hayatta daha farklı bir insanım.
Okey. Onu da bilmemiz iyi oldu aslında.
Evet.
Yani Kireas'ı buyurun tanıyın arkadaşlar.
Bence çok da güzel özet oldu. Kiraz tekrardan tebrikler. 5-0 olan ilk takımda sizsiniz. Onun için de ayrıca tebrikler. Keyifli röportaj için de teşekkür ederim. Kendine çok iyi bak.
Bye bye.
Teşekkürler size.
Bu arada Johnny seni böyle son soru olsun deyip şey yapıyormuş gibi oldu. Diğer maça geçeceğiz o yüzden. Kusura bakma.
Yok canım estağfurullah.
Sonra
Son soru
demeyin
olsun
Johnny'yi
Yeter.
konuşturmuyor. Ey
Johnny'nin
hoca.
son sorusu. Ve Johnny kalkar gibi.
Ya Kiraz'la röportajlar çok keyifli oluyor. Ve genel itibariyle dediğin gibi lafını da esirgemeyen bir karakter.
Aslında öyle değilmiş ama bak şimdi söyledi.
Ya
Bize
ben-
yansıttığı yönü öyleymiş.
Şöyle Zetsu ile en son konuştuğumda şey dedi. İşte diğer takım biraz daha ne yazıyor?
Haber manşet geldi yani aşağı.
Zirveye çıktı
Ama liderliği koruyabilecek
mi?
mi? BGT'den gelecek sonuç belirleyici olacak. Hadi bakalım.
Abi şuraya bir de hani şeylerde olur ya realite programda müzik böyle rıdın
Evet.
dın dın falan diye böyle arkadan.
Ya da şey,
Versek mi?
Kireas'ın sözünü oraya alta koyacaksın. BGT'den bir şey olmaz. Öyle demedi ama böyle hafif.
Hani şey bak
sertleştirip.
çok güzel fikir. Kireas dışarıdan öyle gözüküyorum ama içinden kedi gibi bir insanım falan gibi.
Ama Kireas şey diyor, kardeşim ben böyle bir şey demedim. Lafımı çarpıtmayın. Bence güzel malzeme. Ama orada bir oyuncular ne der?
Abi Kireas kedi gibi olmaktan herhalde şey yapmaz yani.
Ama kurt olan takımda oynuyor şimdi. O zaman yoksa Bushido Wildcats'e laf mı çarptı? Kedi gibi dedi.
Abi nereden dedi?
Hocam BG şey olmaz. Ben böyle bir şey demedim.
Güzel.
Hayır bir de yani bugün daha sağ olsunlar forma hediye ettiler onun üzerine bu olunca
Ya bir
ver
şey
geri
diyeceğim.
formayı deyip.
Kod yok mu?
Ama bitiyor bence saklayalım.
Aradan
Hemen
sonra verelim
erkenden
mi?
bitiriyoruz. Bir sonraki maçta son maçın öncesinde bence.
Hemen manşet. Bu ikisi kod vermiyor. Ona göre bir manşet
Reci
alalım.
vaktimiz var
Scarlet
mı?
kodu
Normal-
vermiyor.
Kodu
Ha, yazın
kendilerine
bakalım.
kendilerine saklıyorlar. Yaz abi.
Normal kod verelim bu.
Hoca ile
sandık
Scarlett
kodunu
son koda çöktüler. Yaz. Hadi.
Yanımda vallahi çökerim.
Bak işte.
sonra. Bu kodu verelim telafi olması açısından.
O kod
Biraz
daha
kalsın.
güzel. Benim gözüm
sonra
onda. Ha biliyorsun beni. Kod.
Buen cuando estaba disponible, que en este caso se ha quedado fuera porque está también
Oye,
hasta las trancas. Y Leona, con Nidalee hace una pareja estupenda además.
sí, ¿no te quedarías Skarner aquí? Se han quedado chinzados.
Creo que puedes sufrir contra Skarner, sinceramente. Sinzao funciona bien contra Nidalee. Nidalee
Sí.
sufre contra personajes que tienen gap closer y encima luego puedes generar mucho espacio, ¿no? Para que tanto Azir como el Varus precisamente peguen una auténtica locura en las fights. Tenemos mid laner, tenemos bot laner en el equipo de Rambo, también los junglas en los dos equipos. Falta por romper el flex del conjunto murciano y coger algo para la calle superior.
Vamos a ver qué quieren hacer. Se van a quitar la Miss Fortune desde el lado de Rambut, castigando la Champion Pool de AD Carry. Así que entienden, me imagino, ¿no? Que el Corki va a medio.
Supongo, ¿no? Andariel que ha estado también muy fino en las dos primeras jornadas, perdón, junto con Ilevi, parte del Dream Team en los 2 días. Así que muy buen arranque por parte de dos jugadores de los que quizá no se habla tanto, porque lógicamente Goldo acapara todas las miradas, y Mivak también lleva muchísimo tiempo, pero que sobre todo Ilevi es de los que puede sorprender en una serie incluso un poquito más larga, ¿no? En esa Champion Pool extraña que tiene con personajes como el Pike.
Bien visto, ¿eh? El ban de Jax, porque yo creo que con el ban a Gragas, UCAM mostraba, ¿no?
But second time, is this it? I don't know versus LLS, but there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and looking at North, we need to bring in the light, we need to talk about them and understand where they can thrive.
Yes. They bring in another ball! They want to make it the most Polska Guru team that has ever been out there in NLC. I love it so much. We have Zvira on the mid lane coming straight from the Rift Legends, and before that, of course, having served his time in LEC. This is a big pickup for them. Last week, they were playing already with a substitute on the mid lane. This week, it's again a substitute, but still another Polish person. I'm so hyped.
NX, I think it's a big one to highlight as well. I think he was not smurfing, but he was extremely stable during the games they played. Was just not able to actually capitalize on what he was bringing, Duckling. What do you think?
Yeah, I think what we've done here, right, is we sat down and we've thought about, okay, this was disastrous. Okay. What were the shining lights, right? What do you hold on hope to now if you're a Nord fan? And we came up with these two. We just saw Inex's stats. They were okay considering you've lost all your games. We just heard it from Bucci as well, Vichitachi, one of the best laning, if not the best laning top laner in the league. You can see it in the average CS per minute too, right? So these are the two guys we're looking at to be, I mean, they performed in week 1. If the rest of the team gets to their level, maybe they can start showing some more of their character, because they have their backs against the wall. They need to not finish 5th because they don't want to be in the losers bracket straight away.
Just a tiny correction here. Vizicachi had to perform last week against all odds because I don't know what was happening last week, but everyone he was playing against, all teams were camping Vizicachi on top lane non-stop.
Yes.
Rather didn't have a chance to breathe there, and somehow he still managed to deliver a really good level of play.
Yeah, it was a camping season on top,
Yeah.
and they say it's an island, and well, it was tourism time for that island. Moving on into light side. What is the light towards this team? I think everybody's getting a little bit more stable. Golden Pen is showing up with Sunfry as well. Harbo, I've been enjoying the way Harbo has been playing. Such a different gameplay from what was provided on winter to spring. And Ibridge, well, Ibridge is Ibridge.
I mean, he's a man with a big mouth, right? He definitely knows how to get the content in the interviews. The question just is if the level can show up. I think I really want to direct my attention to Elijah. I think he has been a huge improvement for them. I thought he showed a good week 1, especially in the game they lost as well. He definitely held his own in lane where the game really fell apart much without his influence, sadly. But I do think in general this is an improvement. Lunke's light side, they have a bit of fire in them, and I'm excited to see how far they can go.
One very interesting thing about this team is that if you look at their stats throughout week number 1, you can see that the damage distribution is pretty much equal across all the lanes. They don't have any shining type of hyper carry on the team. Instead, everybody's bringing a lot to the team to make sure that everybody thrives and the team thrives as the result.
Isn't that amazing? Being aware that, well, if he doesn't shine today, everybody can show up. At least it's a stable team. It's a comfortable team. And the way they've been playing, I think this is... If you go on to Winter Split, Solari Duckling, and you put LLS versus Nord, what do you say?
I say North
But
wins
now-
100%.
Yeah, 17 minutes
But
maybe.
now-
Maybe they beat the Mad Lions SKT game 16-48 minutes. But now, yeah, it's a whole different can of worms,
How do you
right?
know those things and you don't know the quotes of the champions, Duckling?
Because I watch esport, I don't play League of Legends.
So that's why when we brought esports questions, you missed every single one of them, right?
Dude, calling me out like that is crazy
That's
behavior.
bullying.
I will contact HR. You will hear from my lawyer. That is
Ashram
unbelievable.
at gmail.com/spam. That's the HR email, by the way.
I can't believe you are the HR. I'm absolutely cooked here.
I have
Regardless,
so
though,
many emails, but I just don't see them.
I will say I predicted Nord here, and if I believe they're favorites, slightly still yes, because they have such big names that they should still be favorites. But this game is, to me, wide open. But we talked a bit about the 5-way tiebreaker before, and I want to highlight this again. If you want to know the scenario we get the 5-way tiebreaker, get onto our Twitter, take a look at the caster predictions, and hope I'm right every time. Because if I'm right today, we have 5 tiebreakers. And that would mean a Nord win has to come home, so I'm wearing a bit of blue here to represent the hope for 5-way ties.
What?
Is
And I'll
that the
leave that to you
reason?
guys now. Yes.
Wow, Duckling. Okay, I see where you're coming from.
Wow.
We're about to jump into Champion Select as soon as possible. Don't worry, casters are pressing the button. We're just having some delay because we're trying to get all players in comfortable positions. And as soon as we do that,
Thank you,
we hit
casters.
the Champion Select. Thank you so much, Trouble. Thank you so much. Initialize. Come on, you gotta step up. Bans are coming in through. And what do you do right now? Cassante is removed. And can you even ban away Chachi? I don't think you can.
No.
But Elijah is a big one as well.
You can ban a little bit. You can ban out some comfortable champions. You can, of course, look into Gwen Theory as usual. You can look into Poppy. You can look into Skana just to try to limit the options for Chachi and Yankas. But overall, it's really hard to pinpoint some direct bans here.
Yeah, I think a jungle pool will get trimmed a lot, right? We've seen the vibe and a theory still on the board. Seems like teams have gone a bit away from that. It is a bit harder to execute like something, or compared to something like the Gwen, who is just way higher priority, and flexibility as well, right? Is always valued in competitive play. The various stock standard and safe pick has been removed. Maybe saw game 1 as the Poppy's been taken away from Vizicachi, a champ he's famously known for in his time in the LEC.
Taking away Rumble. Not usually the Vizicachi pick you would expect, but this is the pick that you would expect on Elijah that he already showed to us last week, so that is a good takeaway. Okay.
Okay. I would like this. I think Elijah is someone who knows how to play this matchup, and he's definitely able to take it into his own hands and say, if I get the counter into the matchup, I can win it. It's a bold statement, as he could have just picked something safe, but I think, especially with the Kazanze, who has been his fallback in his entire career, it is good to take that away and then just get the Aatrox on the board as the misfortune. He's a very vulnerable AD carry with little movement.
Yeah, that is so early to open Misfortune like that in the draft. That is extremely risky from the light side, because now Nord can pick up champions to make Misfortune's life absolutely miserable. Take things like Brom, take things with really good engage and crowd control to Misfortune, and Golden Penny will not have an opportunity to play.
Yeah, I think for Golden Penny, right, it's so hard to find the right opportunity as MF already, but when there are all of a sudden these engages that will now definitely be counterpicked against you, like the Rel, when you ult, you stand still. And these engages, the Rumble ultimate can jump upon you, the Rel can engage on you, the Sensao can get a free W into an engage. I mean, Golden Penny, he has a target on his back, and it's very clear from the way Nord have drafted.
At least now they can pick up something like Brom for themselves to secure additional security for Misfortune to try to make their life a little bit more unbearable, but this is not looking good for a light side. Their Rel plus Rumble combination or not is already targeting really explosive team fights that will happen later in the game.
Yeah, but it's curious. You have such big potential towards team fights. I was thinking, hey, get everybody a little bit closer with like a Jarvan or something that would provide that sort of capability. But hey, at least now you have Misfortune and Leona. That's a duo that if you fight it on, you need something as powerful as an MF in training potential. And what does NX play towards that one? They might have even ship the AD carry pool, or just go into something like the jungle, because they have the jungler on the other side, they don't. So it's going to be towards the mid lane. Okay, interesting.
We're on the top lane. It's a little bit scary. I don't think you can ban against him directly as well, because his champion pool is extremely wide, but you can at least try to make your life a little bit more unbearable, because already Lightside are having some issues on their side. I want to see more crowd control on their side, more something to help Leon out, because they already have a little bit of engage on their side, they have some control, but they need more of it to make sure that they use the whole potential of Misfortune.
Yeah, it will be a big question if they can unlock it. I think they've really got their backs against the wall here and have to get the most out of it. But let's see now how they built the composition around it, and if they manage to create some safe space. Banning the Tristana as well, yeah, trying to trim out the mid lane pool. Cyro, definitely someone who likes to be a bit more aggressive in lane, at the very least how I remember him, especially on his EMEA glory days back in 2021 and 2022, before he got his chance in the LEC. The Talia taken away from Harbo. I mean, I'm gonna throw this out here now, but I think, depending on how the draft goes, the Silas could come into priority for Harbo. I know he's a big Silas enjoyer, and I'm hoping maybe that's something he could go towards here, but depends on what gets picked now.
Probably still going into jungle right now, right? Because the jungle
is definitely taking the jungle now. You're getting the jungle here on
R4. And you have the R5 for the mid lane.
It's a...
Oh!
No! Okay!
No!
We've been wrong on that R4 both times now, Solari. We've been, a bit shafted there, locking in what you would expect to take on your R5, but no, taking the mid lane straight up. I thought you maybe wanted to wait and see what ultimate you could have potentially stolen as the Silas, or how the lane would play out, because now you get counterpick the RE into you for Swiru on his game here today for Nord. I'm not sure if I like this a lot.
Like
I mean, it's
as it is not the easiest one to counter away, but now you're bringing in the jungle. So what's the big surprise?
Volibear?
I mean, it is a good hybrid champion, but it's definitely not something to rock the boat a lot, right? I think it has its place. I think it has its merits as well. You have all of a sudden quite a lot of... Don't be surprised, in my opinion, if Hybrids and Elijah, unless they're too far behind, somehow pull out a few kills and keep the fight even. I expect this to get very messy, and I think for Nord it's crucial they don't get lost on only looking for Golden Penny, because while he might be an easy target, you have 3 other threats you need to be reminded of, and, depends a lot on Elijah's laning phase, but I have faith in him pulling out here.
Okay. It is an interesting draft, and Nord needs this one if they want to get back on the horse of let's try to fight for the upper brackets. If not, things are going to be really awkward. If LLS wins, they're also going to tie up with Ruddy and DMG. So even though there's a possibility of a 5-way tiebreaker for tomorrow, we also have other tiebreakers capabilities. So keep that in mind as we go through the day. I just want to hear the name of the team you think is going to win. Solari,
Ah, Nord.
Our name. Nord. Okay, Duckling. I know your chaos.
That is
So
a
you
bad
want
end. I'm trying to make the end there with my fingers. I can't. Yeah, I'm believing Nord.
So you want Nord. Okay, that's
Yeah.
it. As we throw it to the casters while waiting for us. Trouble and initialize. Start the game.
I've got the button right here, man. I'm trying. But I've picked up a TriCaster. We've got Georgia still here, but she's brought in a friend, namely the lesser spotted European Bigfoot or some equivalent. Like, Georgia.
He's got a tail! Stop.
When Hipbrain said you'd gone wild on the Galactic, I remember you buying
Hey,
your first one of these a year
I had
ago.
the small ones. The small ones are in there. They're trapped. And I got a big one.
This one you let free? Did you feed it
Yeah.
after midnight? What have you done with this gremlin thing?
Look, he's actually pointing at people.
Just at me.
And
I
he's,
feel
and he's
slightly
looking
threatened.
at them. Look, I can make him
Send
look the
help.
other way. Wait, there you go. He's looking the other way. Isn't that adorable? Okay. Oh, he's looking at you now. Oh, that's not a good look. I think he's got something on to you. Look.
Production, I'd like this to be a duo cast again. I'm getting threatened over here. Where's my start the game button? Here we go. Just try and get it going down.
Just get us a game quick.
No effect. But here we go. Well, aside from the fact we picked up a very silent TriCaster, how are you feeling about those drafts? Because a little bit of we got the Shinzo again, but a little bit of a different vibe compared to last game.
Yeah, I feel like I was really screwing for Jarvan right there, because the second I see like an early misfortune, I'm like, okay, what's a way that you can really punish that? And usually Jarvan loves immobile carries. You've got Rumble raining fire from above as well. In that I was about to say earthquake, whatever. The Jarvan ultimate anyway. And I do like, again, I feel like Nord have sort of the same situation as Ruddy, where they have a lot of not squishability. Oh my god, I'm lost for words. I think he's sucking away my energy. Hold on.
Yeah, okay. Well,
a lot of agency.
There
the
we
word.
go. I love the thing is, we got you sort of slowly retreating from the mic because your energy was clearly being depleted. But yeah, I agree. They've got a lot of agency there, a lot of ability to pull the trigger on multiple different fronts. Jankos, Zvero, Nash all have that ability to pounce forward. Chachi on this Rumble even with a good equalizer. Whereas I look on the other side, and if you can get to 2-3 items and play for big as here Misfortunals on top of Aatrox resetting and a big, and a big solar flare, that feels pretty great. You even got Highbridge on a real comfort here in the Volibear, which you used to see played into the Shins out a lot when Volibear was that super meta in the jungle. Jankos.
I don't know if you want that Jankos. Oh my god, disaster! Level 1 disaster. I'm not sure. I think he was just sneaking in just to put a ward down, but that cost him his entire flash. Now, Volibear is and forever will be a fantastic skirmisher. On a 1v1 scenario, he gets to slap anyone down level 3 because his kit pretty much consists of everything. The shields, the heals, the stuns, the movement speed. Anything you want to pretty much 1v1 any champion, he's got in his kit. That's why he's a fantastic fighter. And Jankos having no flash means that the slight bit of prior, maybe Hybrids has the chance to actually sneak into Jankos' jungle and actually take the 1v1 since they're pathing both the bot lane.
Keep our eyes on, of course, Nord in a bit of a weird position again. No way not available, so they've gotten themselves a substitute. And again, it was Ronaldo last week. It's Vero this week. At the very least, Vero, of course, has got some prior competitive experience. The Jankos used to play together on Team Heretics for a little while, and towards the end of the run in particular, looked pretty good as a duo. See whether they can pull that off here on short notice and right the wrongs of Nord, because obviously last week was not what they were hoping for. It was a bit of a mess. Yes, there are caveats, but 0-2 is still a rough showing.
Yeah. And I don't think many people expected it in general. I think they talked about it on the desk as well. It's a little bit of a bummer, a little bit of a disappointment, I want to say. And I feel like, particularly for Jankos, it's kind of like rub salt in the wound that he lost to Radisak after he decided to leave Radisak to go to Nord over in week 1. And right here, I feel like this is the redemption arc coming through for Jankos, especially choosing the type of champion that he can really brawl and skirmish in the early game. Obviously, losing that flash level 1 is going to be very unfortunate for that 1v1 scenario and playing a little bit more aggro in lanes. However, I feel like when Jankos gets angry, he does play things like the Zyra, the Jarvan, the Zenzao, like anything that will do damage or engage fights real quickly.
Of course, the Shins out can certainly do that. Not always the easiest with the Volibear, who tends to, at least off memory, win out in that 1v1 at least early on. One of the few champions that does like to brawl with people like Shinzao early. See whether Highbridge make that happen. Speaking of, has just cleared and looking to go bot side as Nash forced to flash as well at the level 2. Highbridge thundering, smashing forwards and won't find a Q target, but all the while another flash blown for light side. Good little advantages, but they need to convert them into something more here, hopefully.
See, Volibear now done with the clear, finishing the Scuttle Crab. And Jankos already back, which is very clever from him because being down a flash, you want to take your back first, buy your items, get back on the rift, go towards the top side, take that Scuttle Crab in case you do find Volibear sort of trying to do the illegal route, which is Scuttle Crab to Scuttle Crab through that mid lane. You actually have the extra items to fight.
Elijah, they're going to try and punish Chachi, who is trying to proxy farm. Eats a bit of a Darkin Blade combo. There's the Conqueror stacked, and Chachi will need to leave. Of course, it's got the teleport. And with Shinzao around, unlikely to be under too much threat. So there'll be the reset with that wave cleared as well. Means that Aatrox has nothing to shove with, so won't be able to claim anything like a plate. So actually gets away with his cheeky little bit of position.
And Sunfree tried to do the Healisung special right there, trying to hold the wave. Although Jankos with the wrapper on doesn't find anything. Sunfree is going to trade majority of his HP bar. However, he has not taken a reset yet. I feel like this is a big mistake coming through from Sunfree. As you can see, Nash has already had his first back. He's heading towards the mid lane, which usually is where the supports meet.
Oh.
Hold on, Chachi.
Finds that reset. Teleports back in with the item advantage. Has Swifties early, and Elijah hates that experience with just the base damages. Flash for flash. Elijah going to be losing something of a wave. It's not in a great position for this poor old Aatrox. He's going to be pretty overextended here, even if Shinzao's pathing away.
That would be easy pickings, though, for Volibear once he's done with his bot side of the map. And let's see if Jankos is going to be able to be around. He also have his bot side of the map. Reminder that these two junglers are mirroring each other when it comes to clear. So whichever side spawns for one side will spawn for the other for the time being as they continue the second clear of the jungle right here. And I'm actually very interested because I feel like for LLS, having that Misfortune plus Leona down the bot lane, that means infinite priority towards the bot side river of the map, which allows them to take those early dragons. And as you can see already, Nord, they've shoved in that mid lane and heading towards bot.
Sunfree needs to get on out of there and does. That's that flash gone. To blow it again as they find the engage anyway. First blood to Zvero, the substitute, makes their mark. Jankos gets another. And Nord on the line. They are here to play. And they get themselves a great start to this game.
Oof, that Ignite looked scary on Jankos, but the Triumph proc right there ends up saving his skin. And what a fantastic skirmish in the early game for Nord. Again, that mid lane prior, the mid lane push from Zvero is something that we didn't see in game number 1 from Radisak. This is what Ari can do. Shove in that wave, instantly roam, get together with jungle, and punish towards that bot side of the map. Sunfree right there also blows the flash, which means that no matter what, even though Leon is considered quote-unquote tanky in the early game, especially if you get hit by Zinzao plus Ari, which is a very powerful duo, you literally melt.
I remember back when Zvero was really making a name for himself back in ERLs, it was on things like the Ari paired up with the Vi. That was, of course, a long while ago, back on the Heretics Academy system, before they joined up into the LEC proper. So the likes of Jack Spectre and Blue Resort and all those kinds of things. And here, back in as a sub, slots in with Jankos on the Shinzao, and they go diving bot side and have a much better proactive start to a game. This is the first good footing I've seen from Nord all split. Even if we've only had a week so far, Golden Penny will make it rain, appropriate to the name, and back out to safety.
Yeah, I feel like that routing right there was not very optimal from Golden Penny, ends up being punished before he even gets to that lane, and I kind of want to see hybrids a little bit more active on the map. This is the time where Chachi needs to be careful on the top side. Top side camps have spawned. Hybrid has shot himself top side of the map. Flash is still down for the Rumble, so I feel like that level 6 is going to be insights for hybrids the second he kills that red buff and potentially be looking for a top side gank onto Chachi.
Right side did pick up the early grubs. Just a quick note, Jankos now trading it out for that dragon. Just hit level 6 on the bot side. With all those camps top side, and Hybrid's not here, could now be a potential redive. No flash on Sunfree, no ignite, but Golden Penny has both summoners available. I don't know how aggressively Nord want to play this. They're not sending any other members down here. No teleports, but Inax jumped on suddenly, level 6. Fair amount of damage back. Nastic for the Shadows back into the crash down. But a bullet time after is not on a great angle. And now Sunfree with the Ignite on top, just about surviving his Golden Penny in danger. Trying to stay alive. The Essence fucked up. Misses the Q. Flash away, but the auto was in the air. And Golden Penny finds it. Wind becomes lightning, goes wide. As Sunfree sidesteps it. He wiggles his way to safety. On the other side, Sparrow has finally made the roam and gets a double. The substitute looking like a pro.
Oh, hell yes. Zvero coming in hot to save Nord from a disastrous week 1. Sub or no sub, 3-0-1 on this Ari. 1,000 gold up 8 minutes in, and that's exactly what you want. This is the time where if you go Rod of Ages, you're technically chilling. There you go. Instantly completed 8 minutes into the game. You're actively chilling because not only do you get to hurt more, but now you're also tanky and a threat. So this Rod of Ages, very well done right here from Zvero, specifically just because he's ahead. He has the extra goal and he'll get to stack it.
The only thing I'll say, and just because I may know an Ari main or two, there's no Dark Seal in the inventory, which is clearly sacrilege. That's the only difference here.
How dare he?
I know.
Extra Ruby Crystal and a tome? And no Dark Seal?
Right? Exactly. Exactly. You understand.
I mean,
Look,
to
we
be
had
fair,
a Lulu building a Medjay's last game. You
To
know?
be fair, even if you're not going to upgrade to Medjay's, just having it there stacking is only beneficiary. It's kind of like when you get paid and you do nothing with your money. Like, it's just sitting there. It's not going to grow itself, right? So a Dark Seal is an investment to the future for the same amount of gold that you buy a Ruby Crystal or a tome.
See, you get it. You get it. Well, yeah. It's the value is good. But there we go. Either way, not done. And that's us memeing over for now. Got ourselves about a minute until Grubs. First set was picked up by Lightside in the early lead right now for Nord. Pretty substantial, about 1,000 gold. Most of it, of course, in that Ari, who is 3-0-1. And very happy in this game. Despite, as we've said, being a substitute, Zvero looking pretty damn hot here. And that's exactly what Nord needed. Try and right the ship after that rough week 1. Lightside on the other side. Yeah, you scale just fine, but looking at that bot side, down 20 CS. That's a bit of a rough spot on this Volibear. Not really found anything in this early game, though I'll note that's an Aether Wisp and a Fiendish Codex in inventory, so we're not looking at an AD variant.
That was what my reaction was for. This is an AP Volibear coming through from Hybrids, which
in the jungle.
It's not something that I'm particularly very fond of when it comes to the jungle. You kind of want him to be a brawler, and so far Hybrids hasn't necessarily done that. The AP build with the Volibear does come through super late into the game where he becomes a completely unkillable demon. And if you look over on the north side, they don't necessarily have consistent enough damage to take down a Volibear on like 2 to 3 items to 4 items. However, the gold lead right now and the Ari being ahead and the fact that they can use Zvero around the map from the side of Nord doesn't necessarily give me a lot of hope that this Volibear will eventually come online.
He's caught at half an item here into Jankos with the Sundered Sky. I don't know how playable this will be, Hybrids. Be very wary. Looking like he's part of a safari now. Watching the animals go down as Vizichachi eats a nasty chunk from Elijah. That might be enough of an angle to allow Lightside in to contest Sunfry and Harbo here. They'll maybe play. They'll look for the charm. Will visit but the other side. The Magnet Storm is gorgeous. Hybrid immediately ulting away. But Zvero looking for an angle. The shield comes on through with that Sky Spitter. Flash on out for Zvero. Still got an ult running as Elijah looks for the Darkin Blade. Misses the charm. Trying to find it onto Hybrid. But Nash gets the kill regardless. Harbo on the other side. Still looking to be a threat. It's caught a little bit deep here as one final grub remains. It's down a Sand Soldier but needs to leave. Nord find another set of kills.
Yeah, and I feel like there was a little bit of an indecision on the side of LLS. They wanted to push forward, but I feel like the second Zvero presses TP and TPs into this fight, you kind of have to bail. That's a very, very strong Ari, and you already have 3 Void Grabs. I don't think you want to be giving more kills away, more advantages, especially in the early game to a champion like Ari, to a champion like Zenza. These two kind of champions paired up together can run over that early to mid and bridge the gap so that then the Ezreal gets to 2 to 3 items comes online, so that you have an unkillable Rumble in the top lane with potentially an Hourglass later on as well. So I feel like so far Nord, a great showing coming from that disastrous week 1 to week 2, and Zvero, the sub that Nord didn't know they needed, but they actually could very well use.
They've thrown down the bat signal, and Zvero has responded. There's a ward in this pit. Dragons just spawned, and Nord on the reset. around. They're putting down some wards, though, and no one's really got ults to run with right now. Sunfree just had his come up, and we'll have Jankos up in 8 seconds as well. So we'll see how aggressively Nord or Lightside want to play for this, or whether they do want to wait on a cooldown or two before they start up that neutral objective. But as I say that, into the pit goes Jankos, happy enough with the control they have to think about starting it.
Yeah, and let's watch this dragon right here, Nord. They only have about 2 to 3 members, but very crucially, look where Zvero is coming from. He's going to be flanking from the bot side of the map. Obviously, he's going to be on a lot of vision, and LLS are trying to create as much space as possible. They've called Elijah also from the top side of the map, but the fact that this Ahri is basically on the bot side of the map makes it so dangerous to walk through any choke point. Oh?
Inax in danger, hops away, couldn't quite stay alive, and needs to flash towards the he's shuffled! Goes down, Hybrid's in danger though, tries to make the play just about alive, the bullet time is brutal, but Jankos had decent, has ultimate to keep himself alive, but got pulled back by the infernal chains, so that's a second kill. The moment we start praising Nord, Lightside finds a moment with the jungler dead, with the AD carry dead. They can head over towards that dragon pit.
I'm actually praising Sunfree right here because I was looking at this play and I'm like, surely you don't want to be diving anywhere near that tower. But they found the opportunity because Zvero was bot lane. We're talking about this. He was spotted in that tri-brush from the ward from LLS. So that gave them enough intel to know that the Ahri is super far away and cannot join this fight. Chachi, though, wants to join that one or not?
Oh, boy. Chachi dies. Had Zero coming on up, but it was a little too little, a little too late. Even with the Ezreal ult as well. And Elijah survives. A 2.5 versus 1 and wins out with the solo kill.
Okay, guys, let's restructure from the side of Nord. Do not make plays unless Zvero is there. Because I feel like the guy has got an extinguisher in his hands and he's like literally sprinting around the entire rift, trying to help his teammates, trying to create flanks in the bot lane, trying to help Chachi on the 1v1 in the top lane. And I feel like Nord just need to calm down, slow down, and play around together with Ahri. Properly set up for those flanks, properly set up your vision around those objectives. Okay. He's gonna check with his Q. He's not gonna... Oh, no. Oh, he's gone. Okay.
They weren't in the pit
We
still.
had no vision.
Could have been very interesting. Yeah, observers understandably showing that could have been interesting. Another world, Inax in danger there. Harbor will trade out the turrets. Worth noting, Zvero did get first turret topside. So that will be feats of strength now to Nord, who did get the first 3 kills as well. But Lightside, after that play mid, after that nice outplay top from Elijah as well, at least within touching distance of the goal. It's only 500 or so apart, which is a lot better than it was 5 to 10 minutes ago.
Yep, and last week as well. Again, very close to that second item for Zvero 2. They're looking towards Elijah. Pretty slippery, the Aatrox. Also has flash if he needs to use it. I don't think they can reach him at all. He's just going to dash away. However, I do like the fact that Nash is sort of pairing up together with Zvero on the top side of the map. You would usually want to take something like an Ahri ultimate before a neutral objective. And as the Herald has spawned on the map, Nash is sort of hovering for Zvero. Hold up, Sunfree.
Jankos with a lot of damage. True shot barrage after. Now Sunfree in danger. They want to audacious charge into that. Would still be a shield of daybreak available, so risky to go forwards. Teleport into the jungle. Thera comes on in. Nice picture-in-picture. Observers showing that flight through the air. But with the support chunks, Lightside are going to be forced out of their own jungle. And Jankos starts up the Herald with what's looking like little contest.
Yeah, very nice force right there from Jankos since Sunfree. A little bit too far out. Level 7 support to level 10 on that Zinzao. Has the Sundered Sky as well. Takes a big chunk. I like the fact that Sunfree was actually holding on to his flash when it becomes lightning did hit on him. You can actually take Zinzao under tower as well. So it would have been a 1-for-1 right there, possibly for LLS. However, flash not blown. The Herald is going to go down from Jankos and more seeds towards the bot side of the map. Woohoo! That was so funny. It was like, we're going, we're not.
We're lucky he decided against it with the middle. Sunfree, though, just got to go down. There's nowhere to run. And Jankos picks up that kill. Penny and Harbo alongside Hybrid now backing away as well.
I'm not sure how the Leona ended up there. However, the Rift Herald that we just saw going down is going to be used to take that mid lane tier 1. And the second one. Coming right through. There we go.
Nice chunk on in. It's great work. Hybrid will clear up the Herald at least, but the damage is already done. There goes that first turret, and now Elijah, with no turret behind him, is pretty split off. Does, of course, have the World Ender and a flash to work with. Will burn that ultimate. And the world will end in the sense of him just not being here to see it anymore.
Yeah, and I'm starting to get a little bit worried. I haven't necessarily seen a lot of action from this Volibear. There haven't necessarily been any instances where hybrids could engage on fights, especially since the Zinzao and the Ari are just so strong together. I feel like they're trying to sort of use the side lane strategy where it's like, allow the Azir to find the side lane, Herma push the wave, do the same with the Aatrox. Eventually, 40 minutes into the game, we're going to have 3 to 4 items on both of these carries. Extremely great value for both of them. They're big scaling champions, especially in terms of damage into the late game. However, if Nord force the issue right here, how much is LLS willing to lose on the map and gold-wise until they're willing to try and fight?
Will be our question to track. Nord towards this mid lane, claim that one out. There's a couple good wards here for Lightside. Hang on, Harbo on a potentially good angle. Can Chachi get caught out here? 50 seconds until Infernal Dragon. Lightside are the ones with the better ward control right now. Nord now trying to force their way in. Retake some of that vision. Harbo instead might find themselves in a tricky position, but does have that ability to just slide and glide away with the shifting sands, and does just that.
Actually looked a little bit scary at the beginning because it was sort of the same position we saw the first fight go about, whereas Vera was all the way in the bot lane and then Sunfree finds an opening. He's trying it again.
Nash now in danger, has burned a lot of his cooldowns, will be forced to flash into the red buff pit, but does survive.
Now, a little bit overextended right there from Nash, especially since Jankos had backed out, he was doing his Raptors, Vera was all the way towards the bot side of the map, and I really like that look from LLS. The second that they see that Ari is not grouped.
Here we go, Jankos driving on forwards, gets Hybrid down to half HP, teleport in from Chachi, now looking for an equalizer angle, does so, Sunfree's in danger, Harbo flashing away, but Vera could just hop over the wall, looking for the chunk, can't quite get the kill, but Sunfree is still dead, Harbo down to 10% HP as well, Dragon spawned, and Lightside on the run.
Yeah, Sunfree this time around, a little bit way too much aggro. Zvera was around. Oh, the flash! No going to hit the charm right there. Zvera playing super aggro.
And I don't blame him looking. He was really feeling it. 3-0 and 4. The rower fully stacked. The Leandri's on in. He really wants to push that advantage as hard as he can. Won't quite land it there, but the dragon's still secured. Only the second dragon, of course, but still a nice win for Nord nonetheless.
It's Chachi gonna bite the bait.
They're going rumble fishing.
Oh, Chachi.
Wait. Chachi, no! Chachi, no! Not like this! Skyspinner comes on down and Elijah goes looking. They will go forwards as the Stormbringer is here and rumble in the mech. It's swiftly left as scrap metal. TP's now flying. Lightside will not get punished and can't turn that into Atakan, but a nice pick nonetheless from Lightside. Bait successful.
Yeah, finally we get a little bit of that Volibear action. Kill going over to Elijah. Very, very importantly, on the other side of the map, when you're pulling attention towards the bot, you're allowing Harbo to farm away. I feel like he really needs this right now. He's about 1,400 gold behind. He was 1.7 before that tower even went down. I feel like if LLS actually find their ways of chipping those towers, which they're doing very, very well around the map, when those Volibear attacks happen on side lanes, they've done so well. They took 2 towers with 1 gank bot lane.
Really good work, and that brings the goal back to about 1,000 gold difference. If that, of course, the mid jungle was still pretty scary, but Elijah, who went for the full morph first, pretty good into those solo laners. Jankos, though, is a slightly different story, because that is a full AD Shinzao for obvious reasons, and you're less built up to defend against that one.
Luckily for Elijah, does have that TP. If the Atakan gets started there here from Nord, it's going to be the Voracious Atakan. This means that you do get the buff and the GA at the end. Oh, Sunfree, he has been playing quite aggro.
Turn the favor.
Is he actually going to walk into that tri-brush? The rest of the team is coming, but they're too far out. They're too far out.
Quiet. We're going Misfortune hunting. Looking for the charm. It's onto Sunfree. Golden Penny alive for now. Is looking for a decent bullet time angle, but will just not stick around. And there goes the Leona. You wonder whether it be Sunfree getting caught out, and he is indeed 0-6-3. This Leona is not having a great time, flying a little too close to her beloved son.
Yeah, I feel like playing Leona into this composition is a little bit of a double-edged sword, right? Because you are the engaged and you're gonna have to go deep because they're super slippery and they can either arcane shift you back or dash you further back into their team. So once you're in with this Leona. Jankos is in as well.
decides to just dash through the Infernal Tantalizer. A lot of healing. Does get a decent value, but the Crescent Guard blocks the bullet time. Jankos now back onto the Atacard as Inax and Nash look to hunt onto Harbo and Hybrid. Turning around with the Thundering Smash, but it's just not enough. The Sky Spinner Shield is decent. Wait now. Golden Penny beginning to auto his way towards damage. Flashes away. Inax looking to punish. Out of the shifting sound to the Soldier Slash off over High Bridge will help secure that shutdown. They lose the bot lane, but all the while Atakan not finished by the mid jungle. Nord split too much and bite off more than they can chew.
Well, Atakan was not finished because he almost finished them. Jankos and Zvero end up limping away from Atakan. Does a lot of damage as well. And that was a pretty even fight right there. I felt like for a second when you were talking about Golden Penny, I'm like, this misfortune is starting to hurt. With second item completed as well, if Golden Penny actually gets those auto attacks in, if you look from the side of Nord, these guys are not very tanky. They do not build armor. They primarily squishy build in full damage. So once you've already committed all your buttons in, and Golden Penny gets to auto attack without being threatened, this misfortune can truly hurt.
We're not even seeing something like steel caps, right? So it is just raw HP and base stats, and the MF with the early Lord Doms as well. Means whatever armor you do have means very little here. It's ahead of curve as Sunfree. Now in danger though, level 9, forced to flash away. Zvero still got another angle, and the Make It Rain will be enough of a slow. As Zvero reads which ways Sunfree would go and reads wrong. Better luck next time.
At which point do we communicate bullying? And to who? Because this guy just walked up his mid lane. He didn't face check a bush. He didn't walk into fog of war. He just walked up between tier 1 and tier 2. Guess what though? This is what we're talking about, how important these towers are. Because to push through them, you need friends if you don't have towers anymore. There are wards down that mid lane, as you can see. There's a blue ward, which is very good for TPs later on. If LLS push too far, you could have a flank from the Ahri or the Rumble as well. However, right here, we're looking for the third dragon, sole point for Nord. If they come out to get the second dragon, and Sunfree has managed to get himself poked out yet again. It'll be so difficult to walk back in.
Sole point, Nord in a great position for it. Keep potentially looking. Is Zvero gonna find that reset? So terrifying Ahri now at a third item. Won't be once again punishing this Leona. Water Dragon we go. Highbridge and Lightside though forced out mid lane, looking to get into the river via that bit of pressure on the map. Highbridge slowed down though, not very tanky, reminder despite the unending despair and Chachi in the bush. We've seen so many of this one. Harbo now in danger to shoot a shot. That means it's the anti-electro harpoon slows and all the resist threats. Harbo flashes away to no avail. In comes the equalizer, and it's anything but equal. The bullying will continue until morale improves. But damn Nord, they'll head over towards the Baron. It's theirs for the taking.
A great skirmish right here from Nord. They see Elijah split towards the top side of the map. They take the 4 versus 5. And what a great stalling in that bush from Chachi. Just waiting for the right opportunity to seal the deal. Nord very firmly in the lead right here. 4,000 gold up and a Baron. And it has been a huge actual problem to have Harbo on the side lane. Actually wanted to mention that he's been taking so many towers on the side lane now. With the Baron buff, you can actually get to slow down that side lane push. And from 700 gold diff, it went up to 1.6 between the mid laners. Let's watch this one more time. When you do not have access into the river, walking onto those ramps, I call them the ramps of death. They're very, very difficult to evade because it's such a short choke point. And Chachi having the flank through the top side of the map with no flash onto this Azir made it really hard for Harbo to escape.
2 electro harpoons into an overheating flame spitter meant Harbo disappeared. That was without equalizer. Then he got a save for the rest of the team. Is back alive. And Chachi now on a killing spree. The early woes of the ganks and the failed 1v1s behind him well and truly. Nash now looking for a flank angle as Nord looking to leverage this Baron for all it's worth. Now at number 2 here in this bot lane, about to fall, does so. Inhibitor next on the Tocket as they will look to continue this siege, and Lightside so little they can do about it.
And look how beautifully they've synced up the waves as well. Zvero with the mid lane wave, whilst the rest of the team on the bot side chipping away on both towers. Harbo took a chunk, he had to back. The tower's gone, and so is Golden Penny. He's not.
Burnt out! The equalizer after did its work despite the Locket shields. just not enough to stay alive, and this Miss Fortune is beginning to look scary. Not very scary when she's in a 6-foot pit. They get a stun onto Jankos, but to what end? He's still max HP. They had no one to jump on forward. There's minion waves in mid and bot, both inhibitors down, and Lightside with a man disadvantage, trying desperately to hold on. But with what cooldowns and what ability, Sunfree goes into the backline, but it is once again a journey into doom. The ult from this Azir means Sunfree, the Emperor's Divide, is dividing by 0. They find no kills. They find only despair. Nord finally find a win in this spring seeding stage. 1 and 2, and we're still on track for a 5-game tiebreaker.
Wow. And what again? Like, we have to mention Zverev coming in as a sub. What a fantastic early game. The Rose linking up with Jankos, bailing out Chachi from 1v1 towards the top side of the map, taking towers on side lanes, constantly finding beautiful flank angles and splitting apart the fight from LLS. His Ahri was an 11 out of 10 this game, and I think Nord really much needed a breather to grab that first game.
There you have it. Zvaro is a well-oiled machine despite coming in as a substitute. Desk, what did you think about that one?
I think he was a shining star. I think he brought in a lot into the team, and we had no expectations because we had no information. I think that's the takeaway. But even with that beginning, even with all that pressure coming in from Diari, with that build, and please Rito, but it's also, there was a way for LLS to get back in the game.
It's not about getting back in the game. It's... No, you know what? I'm remembering what happened in the early game. It is a way of getting back into the game. This game was messy, I gotta say. This game could go in any direction at pretty much any point in the game. There were moments when LS were so much in the lead, and then there were the moments when Nord looked as strong as ever before in this split, which is honestly something they really needed.
Yeah, I think when it really started to go wrong initially, again, a back and forth game, we have to go about 11 minutes in, there was a bit of a Void Grubs fight. We were sitting there discussing, what will the map movements be? Do they want to contest this? Remember, at this point, Cyru was already, like, what, 3 kills and 0 deaths on the Ahri, very accelerated. The Void Grubs go over to Nord, so it's 3 for 3 in the Void Grubs, but LLS, they try to pull the trigger, but Nord just flip it back on the head, and they win a massive fight here. And for a period, you thought, yeah, Nord, they're back, they're gonna steamroll it, but it didn't end up being just like that, Laurie.
No, it didn't, because just in a couple of minutes after that, suddenly things started working out for LLS, and we saw Elijah absolutely popping off. He got really good setups for a fight on the mid lane, then he got a solo kill on Visit Chachi on the top lane, which was the moment when you look at the game and you're like, hey, LLS actually have a really good chance of winning this game. That's what they can play through and work through. And then the fight around the Atacon happens, which was probably one of the weirdest moments in the game because of how much Nord were split, because you have Jankos and Zveru who are trying to do the Atacon, and at the same time the rest of the team is fighting with LLS, and you look at it and you are a little bit of a confusion.
There you go, you're talking about that, we might as well jump into this one. Another one of those picks where you think, I mean, this is not good, LLS, you throwing away what you had, Nord will pick it up. It was a back and forth ping pong match.
I think it's a bold move to go for this, but I do kind of like it because you did just lose your support, but you did force some key cooldowns, and a good engage here from Elijah immediately, I want to say, but they turned it around on him and he ends up dying. But in the extended play, as Solari correctly highlighted, it got a bit too messy because Nord wanted more than they could realistically get, right? They wanted the Atacon, they wanted all 3 kills here, and despite Inex doing his best drag down impression, he's not really able to get the kills, gets so one, does end up being taken down, and look at the Atacon! All of a sudden, Jankos, Swiru have to back off, and this was a moment where I think our teams are better at trying to get more out of their plays, but sometimes they'll still overreach a bit, and it ended up being an even fight this, instead of Nord getting, what, 2 kills, and the Atacon.
If you think about it, if you look back, if you look at the voice comms from the side of Nord, their voice comms are always so busy. They have so many people talking over each other at the same time. Maybe this was one of those cases where the team is a little bit split on what exactly they want to be doing at this very moment, and that results in them not really getting either Altacon or a good team fight.
Yeah, and they did clean up a bit though. They got a bit more coordinated later on. I think here is where, as a Danish brother in myself, it hurts a bit to see one of my Danish players make a bit of a mistake. Harpo had played a very good game, but the roam from Chachi was unexpected, and that leaves Harpo in wild, no man's land, I want to say. And this time, Nord correctly wants more, but coordinated, makes the effort to get it. 5-man diving on top of the rest of the roster, and you can see very quickly after that, 25 minutes in, well, what's waiting for you? A Baron, and that basically decided the game.
The graph is a little bit less pinpointing than you would expect just looking at the game, but you can see those very big dips in the gold difference for Nord in those moments where LS were finding their footing around this 15 to 20 minute mark, and then everything goes downhill for them.
Yeah, it looks a bit extreme now that they got so far ahead with the Baron buff, right? Because had they not ended with such a big goal lead, these swings would have looked way bigger. It's simply because the spike laid on from that final fight we just saw really was the first and final nail in the coffin, I want to say, because the game was very much at an even game state.
Yeah, which is important. Nord have been hitting a slow start, let's call it this way, with an 0-2 starting on week 1, with now week 2, well, finally, right foot ahead. And let's see as we talk with Nash towards this interview on the first game. Nash, welcome to the show. I mean, it has been a rough start, hasn't it? And do you feel like the mojo is slowly getting back into Nord?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it wasn't the start we were hoping for. We definitely didn't expect to start 0-2. But overall, I mean, our scrims have been pretty good. So I'm confident in the level of the team. And then also, there's another week, another mid laner. So that is a bit unfortunate for us right now. But yeah. We've been lucky and had great subs, so it's just about execution, and I'm confident that we're going to get to a good level. Just in the BO1, anything can happen. Yeah,
it's a BO1, and you're still trying to get the mojo with the mid laner as well, regardless of the skill they bring in. It's always like a big glue. It's that pivotal piece in the puzzle, which is the mid lane, and you really need to know how to play with them. It's not about skill level, is it?
Yeah, no, for sure. A lot of it's enabled through mid, so getting the synergy up and running is important. And yeah, I'm confident that just with getting more games in, we're going to be scaling and get to a good level eventually for playoffs.
All right, so far so good today. So far so good. Let's see if the 5-way tiebreaker for Group B happens. That would be chaos. That would be so weird for you guys. Tell me something. How's the synergy on the bot side, though? NX, I think he has performed like wonderful. It has been really interesting to see him play. How are you feeling playing with him?
No, I like playing with him a lot. He's super aggressive, and that's the way I like to play the game. Also, I mean, you saw it in the previous games, right? Like sometimes it doesn't exactly work out, but let's say we win it 80% of the time. But it's way more fun to play it that way, and then it's better to not be scared and just be willing to make plays, because then you can a lot of the time get a lead back if you make some mistakes in the early game, some oopsies. So yeah, I enjoy his playstyle a lot, and I think our synergy will just keep improving. So I'm really happy with it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I usually look at this like it's easier to get a really aggressive player and slowly tone it down so we can only go on really specific plays where you know you're going to win than having someone that is really passive to be really aggressive.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Because it's just about spotting the opportunities that are there. And if you're already looking for them, then your team can like slowly reel you back if you're becoming a bit too aggressive and looking for too many chases during a game. So yeah, I'm happy having that aggressiveness, and then tuning it back should be way easier. So yeah, that's, like I said, it's just a matter of games, and then we're going to get to a good spot. I'm sure of it.
It's looking good. You're talking about games, so final question for you, boss, is DMG versus Nord. This is the way you end the seeding stage. Can I get a trailer? What should I expect? Because DMG is looking good.
Yeah, they've surprised, honestly. I did not expect them to be looking this good. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Hopefully the aggression can stay up, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to the matchup.
Yeah, I think bot lane is going to be bloody. I'll say this, bloodily at least.
Definitely.
Nash, thank you so much for this interview. Best of luck for the next game, and let's see where Nord ends up. You might get a 2-2. That would be pivotal towards the team. Thank you so much, boss.
Yeah, thank you so much. See you.
Aggression, I like that. Solani, you like that, don't you? Like bloody bot lane.
Bloodbath!
Duckling, how you feel? It doesn't matter. Let's toss it to a break. We'll be right back. I'll see you soon. This is it! Bulldog Esports versus the Ruddy Sack. We've seen it before, and some may call it... I don't want to say it.
It's the Bullseye derby.
Oh gosh, that's actually a thing. Bulldog Esports versus the Ruddy Sack. We're here. We need to talk about it because every single time they've met before, playoffs, Ruddy faced them, boom, got defeated. They faced them another time, boom, got defeated. If we can lower third to just understand the history between these two teams, Ruddy played 2 times in playoffs during winter, 2 times versus Bulldog, 2 times was an L, 2 times was promoted to viewer.
I mean, the thing is, right, this is not just a rivalry between 2 UK orgs. This is Ruddy Sack with their star-studded roster coming into playoffs, playing against some random Bulldogs. Bulldogs then knock them down to losers bracket. Okay, they still have a second chance. They win against a few teams. Maybe they're back. No, Bulldog, yet again, steps up and says, no, buddy, you're going to spectator. Screw you. Sends them out of the tournament. And I think Ruddy Sack, they are hungry. But Bulldog, they remain cool, calm, and collected, being one of the 2 teams to retain their full roster.
I like this. This is a roster that was pivotal, got them to the live event in Nottingham, and they want to do it again. Exofang, the young prodigy who has been delivering, Kasing, a tale as old as time, talking about all that he is. Cayman needs to get this mojo, but as soon as he gets it, he's the one. Lulas, that's a Portuguese jungler in me attack, so far has been really aggressive on the top lane. Yes. I like this team, but are they good enough?
That's a good question, because what we saw from them in the week number 1 wasn't fully convincing. It was a very hard split 50-50 from them. We saw some good games, especially their last game, I believe, versus Nord. But again, they were playing versus Nord. We're having a really bad moment throughout week number 1. But we still did see really good shining bright moments from Bulldog, especially from Lulas, to be honest. I think he had a fantastic performance in the second game the first week. He was helping his lane so much. He was everywhere on the map. He was accelerating literally everybody. He was on point, and Exofang, on top of that, absolutely popped off in that game on Israel.
Yeah, I think we're asking the right question here, right? Because my whole point to this is they are still a good team. They've kept the 5 same players, and you can see they've made some improvements. But the problem is the rest of the league, the floor has moved. Yeah. Teams have gotten better. They get more from the plays. They are able to, make less mistakes and capitalize on their right plays better. And that just doesn't go for Bulldogs. It goes for DMG. It goes for Lightside. And all of a sudden, it becomes so much more difficult to get that top 3 spot again. So there is pressure on them. And one team that has definitely improved, changing the whole roster, Asher, you know what? It's the Ruddy Sack.
It is. But the thing is, they hit a wall at the beginning of the day. So this W for them, it is pivotal. If they want to get that seed 1 moving into playoffs, if they want to get the best position from Group B, this is it.
Yeah.
With this game, if only they won the first game today, with the second game, they would have locked the first place in the groups. But unfortunately, it's not happening anymore, and they gotta fight.
They still have a chance for first. If they win this, they are, 50-50 for going first, depending on a later game. We'll get more into that later. I want to go back to the thing we talked about, the 5-way tiebreaker, just quickly. If you want the 5-way tiebreaker, the update is you're a Bulldog today. You're cheering for the Bulldogs. You're barking at chat or whatever you do when you're cheering for them. You're part of the Bulldog family, at least. I know they have plenty of streamers watching. I think they've added some great streamers to their lineup.
Yeah.
So they're watching. They have their fan base there, and they're definitely... I know Jolly, he's probably spamming in chat right now something about, about the Bullseye derby. So the Bulldog family, loud and proud, they need the win here.
It's a lot of... I'm happy with the grown-ups here, I'm just saying. And it's gonna be a big one, like Bulldog versus the Ruddy. It is about to start. Champion Select will be pivotal as well. From the first one, I think Ruddy needs something spicier. I think putting Pang on something that needs to scale, needs to get his damage across in the middle of the... No, Pang is not like that. Pang is explosion, not is explosion. Let's see if they are able to bring that explosion into the Rift today. What about Bulldog? And I want to make this question before we jump into Champion Select. Where should my eyes go within the Rift? What is the lane to watch?
Your eyes are gotta go in different directions. I'm sorry, because you have 2 lanes to watch somehow. You got top lane and the bot lane. You have Miatek and Exofang, and to me, these are the 2 most pivotal players for the Bulldog right now. They are exceptionally well, They're so good, except especially if they get on their comfort champions. Medic has a pretty wide champion pool, but we have seen him being godlike on Rumble, for example, on Ambassa throughout the winter split, and then translating this into the spring split. Exofang so far has only showed us his Ezreal. We all collectively believe that he has much more to show us in terms of his champion pool and his performance, but even in those 2 games, he has been the top damage for the team. He has been insanely important for Bulldog. So I think 2 lanes, and you have to split between them somehow.
Yeah, I just want to double on that point, especially about Miatek in the top lane, because while we saw a lot of Exofang in winter, Miatek was a bit more under the radar, again, due to lane swaps, right? We've seen Bucci be unleashed,
yes,
and I think the same goes with Miatek, because he is someone who likes to dominate lane, likes to play the carry champion and take the lead he gains, and then snowballs that, and that was hard in winter because of the lane swap, so he has definitely been buffed by Riot here, and I think we can see more from him still, and I'm excited to see it.
A cool factor from both these teams is the fact that the community keeps growing for both of them, so do spam the chat with who do you think is gonna win, so moderators can complain to me, ashram@gmail.com/spam. Moving into champion select, there you go. 1-1 for Bulldog, 2-1 for Ruddy. Mondo is out, Rengar is gonna be out, but what do you remove from Bulldog? Okay.
Jace is a good thing to remove, especially if you want to make sure that Gathon has an easier time on the top lane. Maybe you want to target something else from Medic. Again, that Rumble immediately comes to mind. Or maybe something like Sante and Bessa. Again, those 2 champions really teamfight oriented that really help Medic shine and help Bulldog shine. If they go with Rumble, yeah. And then I think Gwen has to appear there as well, because Bulldogs are on the blue side. They can't take it for Lula's 100%.
Yeah, I mean, the Gwen has to be banned, especially because it's so broken, and it's broken in both jungle and top lane, right? The flex pick and a broken champion, that's a recipe for a ban in the first phase. So I think both teams have made some pretty good bans so far. Let's see what Bulldog come up with here last, though, if they want to try and target netting that. They kind of had to ban a bit, so they had to ban the Rengar out in the end. The Kalista, that means Gwen is open. That's a bold move. Let's see if they just slam it down. I think you should, to be honest, because you can keep it open in terms of where to go, but no. They'd rather capitalize on the Skarner not being banned, and
I don't
Gwen,
know, boss.
Guys, hello, Gwen is kind of broken.
I don't know, that's true damage, yeah. But Skarner provides so much as well. Ivern is available as well. So many questions.
This is a questionable first pick from Bulldog. Hopefully they can build up from there. But yes, if you leave Gwen open for the red side where they can fully utilize her flex potential, Radisak are going to secure that. And both Gaten and Natinat are going to have a really good time on her.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. I have seen the Skarner be the response into the Gwen to somewhat decent success, but the problem is the Gwen, despite whatever counter you want to pull out, the Jax is a common one as well. I don't think that really works, so there is really nothing to do to stop this champion, and I think it's a huge blunder here from Bulldog to leave it open. Maybe the dog was just starting to wake up in the ban phase as the Yash gets locked in for what you would expect from Nata, the utility to play around the other carries on Roddy's side.
Do you pair the utility Ashe versus the hyper carry Exofang? Because Ezreal, I don't know if that's the card you want to pull out right now, Bulldog. Bring in an hyper carry and save yourself from those bans coming in through. Like Varus is available. No, he's not. He was banned, so I think it's still an hyper carry move. But there you go. Rel comes in. Do you bring in the Ezreal?
It feels like an Ezreal game, to be honest. It still feels like this is going to be such a comfort zone for Bulldog. With Rel, they have a pretty good range with Ezreal, and they already have really decent frontline for him. So that is something that Bulldog can play around. Question is, what does Exofang want to bring here?
Ooh, okay. I mean, the Draven is famously known as being banned against him when these teams last played, despite Hums, a famous Draven player, being the AD carry of Radisak. A huge statement of how scary this was. I believe the few times we have seen it, it's been to little success though. But Exofang, away from the Ezreal, which I'm sad to see, I love his Ezreal, but on his famous, or on his at the very least, a very, very tried and true Draven, as the Braum counter gets locked in to try and make that friendly old bot lane, and the strong 2v2 come through from the side of Radisak.
Yeah, just making sure they gotta stop down the potential of Snowball and the early game potential from Bulldog's bot lane right now, which is normally not easy, especially if this Draven is paired up with Rel. They just have so much kill pressure onto the enemy. But Braum equalizes this bot lane quite a lot, so that's a good pickup for Radisak. And they They ban out... No, okay, they ban out Jax. I forgot they already picked up the Gwen for themselves. This is usually such a Gaethon pick, especially lately, but yes, good call. So probably this Gwen stays in his hands.
I agree. It's basically just, right, to ban out one of the few counters really available.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think it works very well, but it's better than most things into Gwen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you want to take that away, want to make sure this Gwen will have the best time of her life. I can't believe you've managed to get it on red side, and now you're sitting up banning a few of the counters as well to it. It feels a bit illegal. It feels like RBTC have gotten away with a robbery here, as the Ambessa will also be removed. Another one of MediaTek's most played champions. So this pool has been trimmed out quite a lot here. Let's see what he ends up playing.
Taking out the Ambessa, taking out the Jax. There's a plan here for the top side. You have a wall, kind of a wall, which is Braum. But you pair it with something else that could be endangered if the Jax and the Ambessa was brought in. Final one would probably go towards what? Jungle. They still believe, this is gonna be towards this one is gonna be in a different lane. It's not gonna be jungle.
It opens a lot of possibilities for Narinat, and honestly at this point I would love for this Gwen to stay in Gaethon's hands, because it feels like Narinat should be on an engaged type of jungler. Exactly the junglers that Bulldog have already banned out from RBTC, but they're hovering Olaf, and if they lock this in, oh boy, we go all in. Forget we said anything about these two teams. We want to press our ultimates and run into the enemies.
Good luck, Draven.
They are gonna run you down. Let's see what the response is. I think, you know, with what the bans have been, I'd normally think, okay, man, he's gonna play his famous Ahri here. It's something he's played a lot in Winter Split, and he's pretty good at finding those flanks, but you're not gonna be the one finding the flanks here. You're gonna need to adjust to them, pressing R and running right at you. So whatever they have in their locket to try and stop that will be prioritized here. The Gnar makes sense. You have a bit of a hop, and you can definitely kite out of your mini, but I think this RBTC draft is very strong and hard to play against. I don't think you want to play the Victor, though. The problem is, right, if you're immobile, you're just so easily gonna get run down.
True.
The Ahri has some ability at the very least to try and kite back, and we know Cayman prefers it to pretty much every other champion and does end up locking in. I think with the options available and comparing it to Cayman's champion pool, it's probably the best of not optimal options.
I feel like the chances of a 5-way tie are slowly drifting away the more RBTC pick in this draft, because this is such a strong composition already that is super strong in the early game, and now it scales even better because you have Gwen and Ryze on top of that. They are so well rounded. This is scary.
Dude, they have cooked here. I really like what RBTC have done, but I'm committed to cheering for the 5-way tie. You know I'll be barking in the green room here for the Bulldog family. So I will believe in Bulldog supremacy, but I mean, it's hanging on by a thread, because I think RBTC, they have gotten away with murder in this draft. How have they managed to get this?
Yeah, it's looking interesting. Well, with this in mind, I just want to get a name tag on who do you think is going to win. Duckling, I know you're looking at Bulldog. I know you want that 5 tiebreaker. Solari.
Out of spite, I'm gonna go with RBTC.
Okay, we're so healthy on the desk, by the way, just letting you know. Folks at home, do let us know on the chat who do you think is gonna win as we're about to start this one. It's the match of the day. We've been talking about this, the Ruddy versus Bulldog Esports. There's a lot of revenge. It's gonna be great. And tossing it to the casters, initialize, and trouble arise. Move on.
Oh yes, there's some solo leveling occurring here. I'm not a solo laner though, so does junglers get to count? Sun Jin Woo. Wow, you're a Katarina main. You're not allowed an opinion. That's not. You're not going to be a Katarina main. And what was it, Lichbane Soraka or whatever madness it was you used to build?
No, it was Deathfire Grasp.
Sorry, that's so much better. You're right. But here we are with a draft where XFN locks in an early Drake. Going to try and deliver on it, and it's into Ashbraum. There is a Ryze, there is a Gwen, there is an Olaf who's going to ignore all the CC from this. Skada.
In his defense, or not, I'm going to play devil's advocate right here. He knew what he was picking the Draven into. The Ashe had already been locked in, and the Gwen had already been locked in. And Gwen can be an absolute hell for immobile AD carries, particularly because of her bubble as well. But I feel like what RBTC went and completed the composition with is like an anti-Draven zone, a very short-range AD carry that actually wants to be able to have free range to pop those auto attacks with the extra axes in. I don't think like RBTC have given him a very easy way, so I feel like it's all on Lulash to try and find early kills on this Draven.
Got a quick pause here, guys. When we know something we can tell you, we'll let you know. But as it stands, we're going to be sitting here and going to chat a little bit more about this game. So I think obviously with Cayman also on the Ari, as we've got a little bit of time here as well, we've seen this guy absolutely pop off on the Ari. 9 kills in 10 minutes, wild kind of stats that he's put out on that champion. He's a very feast or famine player, but the feasts tend to be quite impressive. And here with the Draven in a game where he's going to need to snowball, I think, to help set that up, could be pretty valuable if he can get that wrong.
I feel like with Bulldog Esports, I felt a little bit upset because the lane swap meta didn't really suit them. They looked a little dizzy. They couldn't quite find their footing in the early game. But particularly their team fights and their comeback fights gave me a little bit of like OG Mad Lions, where Mad Lions would fall behind and they'd fight that one fight that would put them back into the entire game. And that's what they were known for. And I feel like to a lesser extent known for that, right? Bulldog Esports, they were doing that quite all right. They would lose that early game, but then come back in some sort of incredible team fight capability. And I feel like they lost that spark over in week 1. The lanes didn't look good. Their early game macro and pathing did not look good, and certainly their team fights were absolutely not there. So locking in that Draven here, I think it's a statement that you either need to put up or shut up and have a very strong laning phase.
And I think if there was a player that came out of that split one with as a relative unknown and suddenly became someone that everyone had their eyes on, it probably was XFA. This guy came in alongside Singh, who's obviously very veteran at this point, and he's really, really developed. And I remember sitting down at breakfast, actually, at the finals, where we were kind of sat down and chatting at the LAN in Nottingham, and he was saying, look, I think this guy's really, really got it. He's been such a joy to play with, and he's going places. And just saying, obviously still really passionate about the game and still here, and I think, it's always a good sign when someone like Singh, who's played with so many different AD carries across so many different levels of play, has got a lot of props to say for this young AD carry, and he's on that Draven. He's ready to try and show what he's got. It's not an easy draft, but if you do get ahead, everybody's going to be in range for you to auto-attack at the very least.
Hey, everyone's going to be on you, particularly, I'm looking at this Olaf, man. This guy's just going to press R and just tunnel vision the Draven. And I feel like if the Draven's fed enough, you got something like a BT, you got a lifesteal coming through, maybe you can take him down quite fast enough. Olaf is not a very tanky champion. However, if you do find the correct flank and angle, and not a lot of people are on you, people have fallen behind, he can be very, very scary. However, big caveat right here. Olaf likes to clear his jungle on a very low HP bar, which means that if you lose on lane priorities and you get invaded, you could be very easily screwed in the early game.
Yeah, I agree. That one is definitely something. But unfortunately, we're still here waiting to watch those jungle clears. We've got a bit of a technical pause. We're going to throw to a quick break, and when we come back, hopefully, there will be gameplay to see. Welcome back, one and all, and we are on to the Rift, ready for our third game of the day. It's our marquee matchup here, our fourth day of seeding stage here in the spring of 2025. We sat going up against Bulldogs, and we talked about that bot lane, Georgia, and I think we're going to be talking about it a lot before this game is done yet.
I'm muted, okay. I done it twice already. There's two different ways that you can do the whole Draven thing. If laning phase is rough, usually you'll try to get just by, getting your stacks, CS and minions, etc., etc. And then you'll try in a mid-game fight to try and get the Draven to cash out. And from there, you sort of like snowball that mid-game, going to neutral objectives, taking him around the map, taking down the towers, being a nuisance. I feel like this particular lane is not going to be the easiest due to the Braum right here that initially counters the Rel in lane. However, looking at the more offensive summoners on the side of Exofang and Kasing, it could be an angle where you actually abuse the Braum out of lane instead of trying to get to Ashe.
I can see it. And on the other side, something we've not talked about yet, really, because it's the Skarner, right? It's been nerfed a fair amount. We have started to see a bit more play of it. We've seen it lose sometimes, which is a bit of a shock considering where he was 3-4 weeks ago. But in this game, the Olaf you're not going to be able to stop. You've still got to deal with this Gwen and this Ryze and this Ashe. Yes, you can have big ultimates, but I don't know how easy Lewis's job is going to be here on the Skarner, however potent this champion is supposed to be.
See, especially with the junglers both heading towards that bot side of the map.
Surprise, surprise.
Again, of course, reminder, Olaf, the lower he's on HP, the faster he clears. So he likes chilling at around 10 to 20% HP. He's going to get spotted right now, pinged on the map. Are you seeing him right there? 20% HP. This is where Olaf thrives in his jungle. However, if you do spot him correctly, you do have priority, which right here Cayman does have that. You could potentially be looking, they pinged him again on his wolves, to get into his jungle and potentially go for like a cheeky Gromp or something. However, with Exofang and Kasing being shoved in that bot lane, that might be a little bit difficult task.
I seem to recall there being an old solo queue strat where you'd have an Olaf run at the tower, take a couple tower shots, and then go to start the jungle, having taken a turret shot or two to start off the clear at faster pace.
The good old solo queue tactic. I mean, it works. I feel like Baus would do that. would do that. He would go to tier 2, take a tower shot, and then start proxying on like 10%.
Yeah, just like run to Krugs and steal them.
Yep, that's right.
Maybe we've accidentally spoiled a strat here. Again, you know, like, let's return Scrim on stream is the way you phrase that, as I fumble my vowels somehow, some way. You know,
it's a difficult sentence, okay? And I'm not even going to attempt it as a non-native.
Like, it shouldn't be that hard. I think I might just have decided to, you know, fumble my sentences. As Gaethan, though, on this Gwen, it's very strong right now, even after some of the changes, and is going to be a bit of a nightmare to deal with. This is a guy who went pretty wild on Fiora just last week. He'll be looking to take that Gwen that is so potent and prove that he can be a real threat in this game. Absolute opposite side of the map to where everyone's eyes are drawn. Cayman does have his back interrupted there, backing near the enemy Raptors.
Yep. And first reset coming through from Natnat on this Olaf. Grabbed his sword and his crystal. Usually what you want to have on your first attack on pretty much every bruiser. Currently, it's very strong. We sometimes see it after the Scuttle Crab. Before the Scuttle Crab, rather. But that's when you fall in behind. You want to make sure that you get back up on the map stronger than your opponent if they want to do the double Scuttle on you and sort of feast fight you in the early game. However, look at the pings on the map. Bulldog Esports have constantly been tracking the Olaf this entire game, since the first camp, the second you went into bot lane quadrant, and right now, again, entering the top side, taking his Raptors, and then pinging him again!
Yeah, remember we saw Cayman having his back interrupted by Raptors? That's because he'd gone to put in a replacement wall by that Raptors. Just keep eyes on the Olaf. Natty Nat. He's played 6 games of Olaf. It's his 3rd most played champion of all time. Of course, not played that much League of Legends. He's only basically played, at least outside of streamer tournaments, only on Ruddy as an organization. Back now this split after a little bit of time away. And he's always been like a Carthus, Olaf, Graves type player. Hell, he's known for being a Rengar one-trick who currently undefeated on that champion in Pro Play, by the by.
This guy this season has 172 games or something on Rengar and another 170 on Mundo. This is why they've been perma-banned against him this entire time. And honestly, it makes me kind of sad because I'm like, I kind of want to see the Rengar, you know? Talking about him and the Rengar, he has found his way towards the tri-bush on the boss of the map, but this is mostly to cover for his bot lane. As you can see, the wave is a little bit pushed towards Bulldog, and now that it's bouncing around towards the other side, he'll choose to move further up. Still covering. He knows that the Skarner will come around eventually.
We'll see whether he can potentially start up that dragon. There's a
Hey,
ward in the pit, though.
He did the strat. He went to the dragon. He took a little shot from the dragon.
Just a little chunk there to set himself up for a bit of early damage.
Just enough. Yeah.
Exactly. All the while, though, Lulis was there to come and defend, and so both junglers look at each other and go, yeah, I'm not sure we want this at level 5, and everyone backs away, but he's still on a ward, going to clear
and they're
out
there again.
that one. Exactly. What great wards here from Bulldog. Keep everything cleared out.
I feel like at this point, I was about to say, I think at this point you should probably start the dragon because they know that Lulas has gone to base, he's going to come back, and he's got more HP than before, so you definitely don't want to be running into this. And of course, Kasing taking a huge chunk means he cannot walk into river. And so far, Bulldog Esports are taking the second approach that we mentioned earlier, which is get Draven farmed up in lane. You do not have to go too hard. You do not have to go for the early kills. And try to create a teamfight scenario around the mid-game, potentially around a Dragon or Void Grabs or Herald, whatever it is, where your Draven will cash in 100% for the very first time. That is the most important part. I feel like we saw this strat, if I'm not wrong, last year at EMEA Masters, where Draven was super prominent with a bunch of players that we had there that were all of them big Draven enthusiasts. And it just worked wonders. You don't have to go 3-0 in laning phase to make Draven work.
Especially basically since he's had the changes to his passive, where it increases the damage of his ult. Is it the execute threshold? I forget exactly what the stacks give him, but basically makes his ult do more damage. And the more stacks you have, the scarier your ult is, and maybe you don't need to get anywhere into that. Gaithan looking to ult onto me and can't quite do it. Ludus will ult instead, looking to drag him towards him. He's still going to have a load of needles remaining. Gets to back away for now. Gaithan now in danger, but overcomes Natty Nat, has level 6 of his own. Both top laners end up low, but Ludus has to burn his ult in order to keep Gaithan out from killing his top laner.
Yeah, that looked a little bit awkward as well. As Natty Nat, talking about awkward, that's a 3v1.
Burn the Ragnarok, but that means all his resists go away. Pei now looking for some rune prisms and does so. Natty's slow, gonna try and find that extra ult. There's a heal for Marlon to speed him up. In comes the Winter's Bite, and well blocked on the Foxfire Charm though. Onto Peng, who's now in danger. The turnaround with the Orbital Deception Blast auto will get it down. Arrow clear to the side, got the reset onto Ari, who doesn't get chance to ult away as a result of that downtown ultimate. It's Braum that picks it up, but it's still a 1-for-1, all things said and done.
That was so well played by Cayman right there. Spends his ult trying to force Natty Nat out, takes his flash as well. And then that last Q auto and flash were so well played from Cayman. And of course, we have been a little bit critical towards Cayman for his performance through last split and week 1. However, Ari is one of his more prominent champions, is one that he does tend to gravitate towards, and he's really good at so far. He's had a pretty good time shoving in the lane, keeping it even versus the Rise. And I feel like that was a very well-played scenario right there, where he actually ends up with the kill. And as you mentioned, on the other side, Radisak, they get a kill onto their support. So definitely props to Ari right here, and a huge advantage. Getting as fast as you can to that Road of Ages so you can start stacking it is huge.
That it is, and the game remains very even at this point. Both of our mid laners will be building towards those rowers. Slightly different build path from Cayman, who starts off with that blasting rod, but it will be that tank build on the Ari if I've seen anything at this point. And we've already started, hopefully, as we mean to continue, with a lot of aggressive skirmishing. Grub spawning for the second time in a couple minutes, and second dragon in a similar position, so it should mean in a moment or two where we can play for lanes or potentially ganks rather than for those objectives.
And items are going to start coming through as well. Very slowly but surely. Man, I love the Skarner build, honestly. It's just, what do you want? HP. Anything else? Nah. Just HP. You want one belt? Make it 2.
Yeah.
You want crystals? Make them 3. Who cares?
He's a big
just
boy.
give
He
him
needs
HP.
belts. Look how many legs he's got. How many pairs of trousers do you think he needs?
Need to keep them all up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, he's got a lot of legs, but he's got 1 waist.
Okay, but maybe
Your
he's a
argument
Final
is
Fantasy
invalid.
character. Have you considered that? Maybe he just likes belts and buckles. He's going to be in the new Kingdom Hearts game. You not heard?
That's fair enough. It could be belts around his boots or whatever it is. Don't know. That's fair. Skarner is a champion, and actually, like, Heart still, even though it's been the default kind of item for Skarner, it makes it a lot harder to play when you're versus a bunch of ranged champions. However, here you're pretty much gonna be fist fighting with things like Gwen, the Braum, the Olaf, so you're most likely gonna find early value out of it.
Well, I thought we've not really had a chat about it, but Gaten's not going towards anything like the Conquer. He's gone first strike on the Gwen here as well to try and get a little bit more value from the gold. It'll be interesting to see how he procs that. A rune I've seen too often on Gwen in recent weeks.
And when you see first strike on melee champions, it should really worry you. It should definitely not be a melee champions kind of vibe. However, right here, talking about melee champions, Braum walking into the second set of Void Grubs has spawned on the map. The first three, of course, went to Bulldog Esports. But as you can see, having that Draven already in there.
Charm into the Magnet Storm, down to just Driven to the wall, and the flash with the execution comes on through. Welling death, cashes Exafang in. Turnaround fight still messy as the Impale comes on down into the Charm. And Ruddy Sack collapse in the mid lane.
And remember what we said earlier on. This Draven does not have to go super aggro in lane. It's Bulldog Esports that have to set him up for a very easy cash out in a mid-game fight. And that's exactly what they did right here. Cayman and Lulash have been setting up around that mid lane together with Kaseng for majority of this game. And all Exafang had to do was throw his ultimate to try and get that last hit on Heng, if I'm not wrong, right there. It might have been Natinat as well. But what a fantastic setup right here. Radisaka are trying to find their footing to get into the river, but that river does not belong to them. It's actually Marlon that ends up giving the cash out to Exafang. And I feel like Radisaka today have had big trouble getting onto the objectives. They're late on the resets, therefore they do not have vision, therefore they try to brute force themselves in, and it just hasn't necessarily worked.
And also, we saw the teleport from Niantic as well. They were just ready for that fight. Bulldogs get what they came for. A bit of a bogey team, I think it is fair to say, for Ruddy Sack over the last little while. Punished them in winter, particularly. Knocked them out of playoffs. Was some strife, to say the least. Well, Ruddy Sack started this split so damn well. 2-0, looked confident doing it. Had a fumble at the beginning of the day. Struggled to find any inroads into the comp that they were playing the Ahri Vi into in this game around. It was an early brawl, and then suddenly this Draven is up 700 gold. It's not
I'm starting to get scared.
Yeah, but yeah, I am too.
This is step number 3 to the 5-way tiebreaker scenario.
Georgia, you're not wrong.
This is step number 3, guys. Everyone could end up being 2-2 at the end of the day. And if Bulldog Esports win here, we could very well be on the way, as Natinat is.
Yeah, I was looking at Cayman. They get the Rune Prison, but don't burn any ults, so Cayman will burn his. But looking for a bit of a chunk. Does trade back well enough there to bring Peng down a little lower. A Dragon that's alive. And Bulldogs are the ones in the river right now, despite Natinat and the rest of Ruddy looking for a bit of a chunk onto that Ahri.
It's actually pretty huge right here. Burning that ultimate off of Cayman, having him super low on HP, low on mana as well, because he has to burn through that wave. Dragon is up, and right now this is where you want to be using that Draven. Bloodthirst are already completed. A couple of components, Bootyard sale happening in Ash's inventory. Right here, of course, Bulldog Esports is going to have to drop the Dragon due to Cayman getting super chunked in the mid lane.
No teleport either, so it's going to be off the map for a notable amount of time, and that gives Ruddy Sack that second Dragon. Means they've kind of split sides of the maps in terms of objectives. 6 Scrubs over to Bulldogs, 2 Dragons over to Ruddy Sack. See what they've rolled in terms of the Soul. Ocean Soul this game, when you've got a Gwen, a Ryze will be battle warding, and of course that Olaf. Not a bad roll at all, I think.
Stridebreaker also completed right there. Very clever itemization for the Olaf, especially since you want to be sticking on to targets that are going to be non-melee, like the Ahri, the Draven, Mininar as well, if it comes to that, and Miatek walks in as a Mininar. Stridebreaker, one of the strongest items for Olaf, gets him to truly stick onto a target, particularly because he's not playing with Ghost, of course, he's playing with Flash right here, and right is like they're looking. Miatek is Mininar, but he's just gonna shove out the wave, and then reset.
Yeah, it's first turret as well, which is pretty significant, because that is now feats of strength over the Bulldogs who got those early kills, and now that structure, courtesy of those 6 scrubs helping out. Self a nice little lead here, just in terms of those upgraded boots, just the 2,000 or so gold lead they've got to their name as well.
Slow and steady until the next objective. It's not gonna be too long now. 20-ish seconds. And right now you see how Bulldog Esports have sort of transitioned that Draven in the mid lane. Usually when you do have a strong AD carry, you want them to be in that mid. It's either that or your AD carry has lost flash. So you need to keep them safe. Now it's the first one as the arrow getting flashed on.
Gaethan eats a charm combo after it is down to a 3rd HP. They went looking and they do get the flash, but comes to the cost of Gaethan's HP bar and that turret as well. Bulldogs decide to use the power of the 6 scrubs rather than set up around that Herald.
All right. Bulldog Esports slow and steady. Again, 3,000 gold in the lead. So far, so good for them. This is probably single-handedly the best and most steady early game we have seen them play between week 1 and right now. And this was our ask when we came from that draft into that early game. We asked them to be stable. We asked them to have strong early laning phase and a great transition. And so far, they have managed to do this really great control, as you mentioned, around the neutral objectives. They're going to secure the Herald as well. Question comes later on. Can Exelfang pilot that Draven in team fights? Because it's all good and dandy when everyone's standing in front of you and you're having like a 2 versus 3 skirmish, right? You get to throw your ult. When it comes to team fights and 4 people are piling up on you, you've got a Gwen snipping and an Olaf running at you. This is where we're going to see the true Draven master.
See what he can do. Of course, it's always helped, and I know Jack Spectra's had this conversation before. He's like, look, Draven's always great when you've got someone else to draw attention from you, where you're not the sole target in a game. And at least this game came in 2-1-2 in a good position. Mientic as well, up 1,000+ gold on this Gnar, is in a scary position. You have actually got other people who'll be drawing attention away from you that even if you do fall, you have got other threats on the squad. And that is great news for Bulldogs, who needed that lead to come on through and have done so. The side of Ruddy Sack, though, just try and stabilize roundabout here, or it's going to start getting trickier and trickier. Got Soul Point to play around in about a minute and a half. They could choose to instead play for some turrets, can afford to give up a dragon and try and even up the gold if they so chose, but otherwise it might be looking to try and get ready to fight for that all-important Soul Point and set themselves up with a big win condition in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really love the fact that you mentioned over the Gnar and the Ahri as well. And particularly what makes this very interesting is that both the Gnar and the Ahri are very tanky, particularly the Gnar in Mega Gnar form, right? So it's not like if you choose to focus them, they're going to be easy to go down. You're going to have to actually use a lot of resources to take down a Mega Gnar and an Ahri with Road of Ages and the more quote-unquote tankier build. And of course, Bloodthirster onto the Draven makes him quite tanky as well. With the extra shield that you get to. So we'll see here, Bulldog Esports, they're going to spawn the Rift Herald, 50 seconds for the Dragon, and so far, very clean transition into those objectives. They need absolutely to take that next Dragon, stop the stacking, as you mentioned, for Radisak. They do have a bunch of wards and a lot of vision inside Radisak's jungle.
This looks night and day from last week. Hell, it looks like a serious improvement, honestly, from last split. We saw Bulldogs come from the depths of 1 and 3 to make it all the way to the land. Couldn't quite secure finals appearance, but in this game, in this series today, in these games today, better way of phrasing it, they have been collected, they have been controlled onto very different styles of draft. And are in a great position here versus Ruddy Sack, who lose another turret. Gaten's going to at least try and trade out to the other side. The arrow was 5 Arsenal out of Cayman, who burns that, going to try and clear out this wave. I think the Gaten's going to just stick here and deal with the turret despite the shots, and does so. Right, he is. Gonna look to Ghost. Cayman now in danger, gets slowed down. Remember, there is no ult available. Flash away from Cayman is going to be in a lot of danger. The Eagles come flying on through. They get the kill, but the Magnus Storm after done so much more. Cayman in danger. Under the turret. They kill off the Ahri, but lose both mid jungle for it. And now Exafeng is joining Mientic and looking to get another cash in. It's payday for Draven. The Whirling Death flashed away from him. Wait, he's going to be left in arrears. No one's paying that check quite yet. Mientic might claim it instead, throws up a door, but it's just buying time. Marlon gonna eat another one as Mientic gets sped up, courtesy of turning back into Mini. And while Draven doesn't cash in, Mientic certainly does.
Wow, Radisak are getting so desperate. What was that? popping the goals from a screen away, diving under a tower. Sure, you pull the TP from Miatek, but at what cost? You've lost a lot of control in that mid lane. You've lost a lot of control in that river. And Miatek now gets to push that top lane for free, where they actually have to respond to. He's going to get to reset after that kill as well. And then he can get to play towards that bot side if he wants to. But Rodisak, again, due to the resets, are too late to that play, and they're going to lose soul point for themselves. I am so confused. They had soul point right there. All they had to do is just find a way to get some vision around this dragon and try to potentially stall Bulldog Esports from getting extra items. Now Sterax completed as well. And Infinity Edge will be coming soon. It is now completed for Draven.
My days.
If it was difficult to contest before, it's going to be almost near impossible. There's a 3,000 gold lead. And majority of that is on, well, all of it almost is on all 3 carries of Bulldog Esports.
And that is pretty scary stuff. Buddy tried to play for some turrets. They were struggling for those and said, okay, we can give up this dragon, and it does not work out very cleanly at all. Now in a position where those second items are completed. For Bulldogs, of course, at the very least, Rodisak are managing to match that right now. Not looking like we're seeing a full item discrepancy or anything quite yet, and that is good news for them, but things stay as they are for another 5 minutes. That will start to come on 3.
Again, resets are starting to come through. And this is going to be a little bit of a breather right here from Radi.
I need that.
I do need that.
I've had to do a lot of yelling, Georgia. So have you. This is nice. We get to, like, chill out a little bit, bring the energy down. As I say that, I'm looking at a Draven in mid lane, and I know these teams and the fact that they are probably slightly psychopathic. And I might be proven wrong.
Bulldog Esports love the team fight.
Yeah.
There's no turning it down. There's no chilling for a bit. However, I will commend them. They've been playing this game very clean. Apart from came in just getting caught, like literally once under the tower, and then they repeated. They returned the kills from the Bulldog Esports.
Punished it real hard, yeah.
It's been a near flawless game from their side. 6 void grubs, stopping soul point from the side of Rodisak, getting the feats of strength. I feel like their warding game and entering enemy jungle has been so good. Look at them here. They pushed in that mid lane wave, instantly went into the jungle, put down that ward, tried to get control around the area. Atakan has spawned on the top side of the map, therefore they need that vision behind enemy lines. I feel like they've been doing really, really well with setting up those objectives, which has been something that Rodisak have been really struggling with today.
A bit late on those Gathens now in danger in the 1v1. Misses the needles, but he's still got a second load of them. Look to throw them in, the boulder goes wide, needs to find the moment, the ghost now running, looking for a snip, gets it stacked up, finds the needles, gets walloped and Cayman is here regardless to punish. But now with both solo laners on the other side of the map, Bulldogs trying to play onto that Atakan, may have leashed this slightly. There are no teleports available for Cayman, is for Mientek, and maybe Rodisak will just say, we're going to try and trade this because you sent 2 members bot.
Okay, hear me out. I think that was a very clever play by Bulldog Esports, and they should turn around because Miatek still has that TP available. He just needs to charge his minibar to Meganar, and Ari is already here.
Looks for the Impale, fumbles it, they're turning around. The Execute, not there for the Whirling Death. The Skada surely falls, does Casigno Nudger. The Etec teleports in, but it's a little too late. Surely not, as the Atakan treads all the resists. And the solo laners turn up late, and will be able to start, or rather finish the Atakan. That Rodisak effectively started. Peng, though, can maybe threaten him.
I don't know about that one.
He's got a Seraph shield, he's going to be really scary. The HP bar's going to come on down, looking to get those withdrawals. Gets at least one. But the members who are already dead will have those available to them on respawn. Cayman looking to maybe punish and try and find the jump. Lands it into the Orb of Deception. The burn is there, and Peng goes down.
Leandris plus red buff right there doing magic to finish off that rise. And let's watch this one more time. Miatek actually dangerously slow on that TP because she had to take the reset first to then TP back into the fight. And Lulash misses the ultimate, so it's a little bit tricky, but Singh splits the fight beautifully. Natinat has committed way too far forward, and by the time Rodisak tried to run away from a fight that had been won up to that point, Miatek just shut them. Shut the door, I was about to say, but
yeah. Bulldogs just
Gwen's not going anywhere.
On Gwen's face, and she dies a horrible death again. That's the 3rd death for Gaethan, who is struggling at this point on the Gwen, permanently being jumped on the arrows. On point from Nata to defend. That's going to be great setup now for another dragon for Bulldogs. Got the withdrawal still to their name on the majority of members, so a great position where RBTC, I just don't think they can contest this one.
Okay, hear me out. That Atakan was such a greedy play. However, the second you see two members of Bulldog Esports down the both side of the map, you would expect RBTC to try and respond, to try and defend their top laner, and wasn't quite the case. Bulldog Esports they've eaten the pie and also have it whole at this point, taking another tower over in the mid lane. And with Atakan, you need to try and get, I would say, at least 2 remaining outer towers. This is going to be a first one, and there's going to be a bot lane one, and they're going to take the dragon as well. I would say this has been a very, very successful Atakan taking.
Great job with that one. Ocean Dragon will go down. That will be a second Drake. And of course, Gold League continues to expand. Now up to 5,000 gold. It's 3 items, including a death cap done on this Ahri. No worries about damage here. Nearly at what looks to be a wit's end for Mientek as well into double AP solo laners. You're not miles off a 3rd item on this Draven either. Turns that into a last whisper. Quite the full Lord Doms yet. Still looking pretty damn potent right now for Bulldogs. Even if we were sort of worried about how we would play out the 5v5s. Not feeling that way right now.
And this is where Olaf starts not feeling good. Because you start basically pressing W key forward. If you've ever played an MMORPG, you just W forward and you're just running into a wall. That's a level 14 Draven, which is even level with you. Level 17 Ahri to the level 14 Olaf. You have a pretty... level 16, sorry. Gnar over in the top lane. Who are you really running towards? There's so many threats. You saw in the previous fight at Atakan, Natinat went in, he went forward, he instantly melted, specifically the second you press that ultimate, so you can't get CC'd. So this was the problem that we mentioned at the very beginning. It's like, hey, if the Olaf gets ahead or even, he's fine. Now he's fallen behind the carries, and it's going to be really difficult for him to just get in and find another.
Nathan's going to try and defend. The arrow again goes wide. Nata just not been on point today with those. That means this turret will surely fall to the 6 grubs and the wave. Bulldogs once again retreat, having gotten their damage done. Peng's going to try and trade out, but this is not on anywhere near the same time. It does have a teleport available, so can come join. Bulldogs look to retreat, but I feel like Peng with a second wave coming in should be able to trade out, even if it is 30 seconds behind Bulldog's own turret take. They're up in the backs. Hang on now, this might be something, but no, just going to be the Raptor take that doesn't quite come on through because Natinat presses the smite key. Mientek looking to run at Peng though, as a phase rush comes on through. The hyper proc is there. Flash on 4 for another bit of that. He's going to try and realm warp out, nowhere near any CC because there is no Mega Gnar, and that realm warp goes out to safety. Baron, sorry, now started by Bulldogs though. It keeps going, Georgia.
Watch Mientek, he keeps following, but now he's going to TP into the fight. He's right behind them.
Magnet Storm into the Whirling Death. Gonna get so much damage. Gaten in the backside though begins to get some needles down. They've killed off Vexafeng. Gaten continuing to trade. Gets it on the back. The damage is brutal. Finally, Natinat gets to unleash Ragnarok. It's the end of days for Bulldogs. As they're gonna get flashed on Lulis is Rune Prison. Do not pass go. Do not pick up a Baron buff.
Okay, but this is still scary. Very low HP bars. You see now Ahri in the mid lane, and Lulis is gonna come out. Limping basically, back to resetting, and I do not understand what happened there. I feel like Exofeng was way too far forward for this fight. Natinat didn't basically have to run through anyone to get to him. Draven was the front line of that one, and I felt like Bulldog Esports is big, a little bit more than they could chew right there. Let's watch this one more time. So, Cayman is threatening. Kasing will actually find a fantastic angle for engage. And again, Mientek is starting to TP right now, but he's not a Mega Gnar. Great ult right there from Kasing. The Whirling Death is going to come through, and this is where Exofeng flashes forward for the Braum kill straight into the loving arms of an Olaf. Oh, and what a huge mistake by the rookie.
And Gaten as well, for the first time this game, gets a big ult on this Gwen across like 3-4 people. Flash from Exofeng tried to save him for that one partly. It just doesn't work because the Olaf was waiting, the Braum was waiting, and now suddenly RBTC right back in. The gold lead now near to nearly non-existent, and you've got a Gwen at level 16, a Ryze at level 17. Scaling starting to come on through, Georgia.
Remember how that Olaf was same level as the Draven, so the Draven didn't really care? Yeah, forget that. Now it's a level 16 Olaf. Full points into that ult, into a level 14 Draven. Bulldog Esports might have just done themselves a lot of damage losing that fight. They're going to lose almost every other tower but one.
Oh my days, Zula's very low, doesn't quite fall till now, but Natty Nat gets it. Marlon back away as Nata throws every arrow under the sun. They will start to turn us around. Whoa! It's came in with the ult. Blurn to load. They've looked to try and get some damage back as they've run-walked into the base. It's a 3v3, but somehow Ruddy are caught in their enemy's bases. How do they get out of here? They've got a wave coming on board. No Peng trying to trade. Goes down. This is Exafeng in danger, though. Can't quite get ready for a snip. Trying to get it. There are the snips. They'll cut his life short, but now Nata in danger as Cayman goes to 13 and 2 on the Ari. Lich Bane, baby.
What a monstrous performance by Cayman. What is this a gentleman's agreement to throw the game back to back from both teams? I don't think that can end. But Cayman can definitely maybe sneak an inhibitor right here. 10 seconds on Ashe, 5 on Braum. You might just have to be a tower and back. And let's watch this one more time because what a fight. Again, Ruddysack right here do not have to over-engage. They're throwing everything onto this Skarner. Fantastic ult from Lulash on his last breath. And right here, they're trying to kill Kasing. But this is very confusing. The ult behind the tower. There's only 2 creeps right there. And the second they die, you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. You can't walk out. You're too low in HP. There's only enemy towers. And Ruddysack, I think they're only going to get to kill Exafeng right here, but the rest of them just die. What was that Rise ult?
The other side of it is while they're Rise ulting, their AD carry and support get one-shot by REQ. Who's now got a Zhonya's, is not building a Void Staff this game, just saying, look, I just want raw damage. I know who I need to kill, and no one's building enough magic resist. Which you find on Mercury tracks for the record, but there you go, yeah.
Mercs have that, yeah.
Kind of where I was going. Go that way. QSS now done for Nata, though, to try and deal with things like the charms, and of course the suppression from this Skarner. Isaac overplayed that one. Now sole point for Bulldogs and an inhibitor. This game has been certainly spectacular in the last 5 minutes. The roller coaster's coming on through. Scream if you're having fun, folks.
Okay, the top hat or tall hat, whatever you call it. Monocle, stash, the whole shebang. If this was the gentleman's agreement, Bulldog Esports, they're looking for Exafeng. This is going to cleanse that. The Rise ult coming through.
Push on forward on Exafeng. Everyone's here. They're going to split up and look for Exo. Realm Warp in. It's an express flight into a grave. Nice work from Ruddy. They pick off the Draven, but they've left their base out to dry. Cayman with the 6 scrub will claim another inhibitor turret.
I feel like right here, Bulldog Esports just need to keep pressuring. They need to keep pressuring to try and get that mid lane inhibitor. The second they see 2 members down bot lane from the side of Ruddysack, they should actually pressure more. It's only Prize right there, but all they wanted to do is just force resets from the side of Ruddy, and that's exactly what they have done. I mean, it was a death on the Draven for a mid lane inhibitor tower. You will take those if you're Bulldog Esports. However, the game has just gotten really tense all of a sudden. A missed flash from Exafeng, a turned around fight by Ruddysack into an overextension by Ruddysack, a Rise ult into enemy base, and now this one. I feel like next team fight, Sam, might be our last one as well.
All right, buckle in, folks. It's going to get spicy. We've got a minute until Baron. There is an item advantage for Cayman in the form of a death cap. He is full build, full level. This Ari has been, once again, absolutely spectacular from this player. Feast or famine he may be, but he has been eating enough for 3 today, it feels like. Draven, 3.5, is now behind Nata, and we're going to have to prepare ourselves for it. Can Gaithan get towards that death cap himself on this Gwen? Level 17, despite the early woes, Gwen now very much online.
And look at what Bulldog Esports is doing right here. They do not want to get control around the Baron. They just want to make sure that they take as many structures as possible so that even when the Baron comes through, there's just too many minions to deal with for the side of Ruddysack. As you can see, you cannot walk on your top side quadrant if you are Ruddysack, and they're looking for Mythic this time. Avengers!
Assemble is how that phrase finishes. Tech is going to surely fall here. Natty Nat will throw down the Ragnarok, and he'll be rolling on over. They get the hold of that Nart. They get another Realm Warp play in the same location, this time picking up the side lane pressure. Cayman was shielding for so long, but the moment they pull away, Ruddy pull the trigger. Baron in 5 seconds. The base, though, from Ruddy in a precarious position.
You know what they say? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. No, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. They pull the same play over again, and the flank TP coming through. They do have a lot of room from Bulldog Esports to walk up, though, and a lot of the tools to reach them are on cooldown from the sort of Radisac, so...
Amen.
Oh, Peng?
Lands a charm. Peng. So much damage. Not quite enough to proc the Seraph until just now, but that's the Seraph shield's down. Significant moment. That Orb of Destruction is exactly that. Oh my days, this RE hurts.
Let's see, Radisac now have to go limping back to base. Again, remember the minions that are pushing on the top side of the map. They cannot ignore those. They're just going to walk straight onto their Nexus towers. Bulldog Esports get another chance to breathe. Just don't send anyone bot lane, lads. You know what's going to happen to them. It's happened twice already. They say third time's the charm. It's not going to be a charm for Bulldog Esports if that happens again. It's going to be definitely a barrel for the sort of Radisac. However, right here, it's also Soul Point. Ocean, Soul, with 4 oceans rather, when the Soul is gone, is going to be huge for Bulldog Esports. So I'm sure that both teams are going to try to fight this fight for that mid lane prio and shove on the wave.
1,000 gold if that separates the team. 35 seconds on Ocean Dragon spawning, and that means that Bulldogs have got the catch-22 set up for Radisac. Charm onto Natty Nat, who will go invulnerable. Looks to heal his way on through. Kasing now in danger. Trying to do a lot of damage back on Delusions. Look at the angle.
Miatek!
Catch in for X-Men. Miatek gets the match over the wall. Came in is legendary. As Nata looks to keep ordering. The Rangers focus rolling. Gates it down. Came in. Finds another charm. Another moment. Nata trying to hold on. Does not do it! A triple kill would not be enough as came in on the Fox. 15 kills. The mid laner is just spectacular.
Came in, coming into this game with the mid diff. What an incredible Ari performance to close out this series. Bulldog Esports might have had their backs and forths with Radisac in this game, but we are on step number 3 for the 5-way tie.
It's looking more and more likely. The Bulldogs roar. They howl their way to a number 1 win. 2-1 they stand in the standings, and they will look to continue our way towards a 5-way tie. 2 more games to see whether that happens. And it's just looking more and more inevitable, isn't it, Georgia?
Hey, they gave us a super fun game, and I have to say, I was actually expecting the opposite from Bulldog Esports, like a rough early into a super clean team fight in late game. They gave us the opposite. I love that. They're still trying to find where the line is for themselves, and it only takes just one mistake. That one flash from Exofang almost turned around this entire game for Radisac.
They nearly had it, but they didn't in the end. Step 3 complete on our way to a potential 5-way tiebreaker. Desk, is it happening?
I can't believe
the
it.
5-way tie is just looking more and more like the answer for today. Bulldog Esports delivers the 2nd defeat already in the same day. There's so much to digest on this one. Let's start with the Draven wild pick and how they were able to actually put him online early on in the game.
Yeah, I think that's the right place to start, right? Bulldog in the early game got a few fights going their way, in particular getting a few kills on Cayman, but the most important one was actually around a objective in the Void Grubs, where they managed to get, you know, another kill on Cayman, who turned out to be a hero later on.
Yeah.
But crucially, the cash out on the Draven, giving Exofang a nice early to mid game lead. They managed to get the 6 Void Grubs on the back of that as well. And that's a common trend we've seen today, right? When a team gets something going their way, I can often sit here and say, they got this too. They got that extra goal from the Void Grubs, and they just managed to snowball a bit more from that. It wasn't a clean game, but we'll talk more about that in a bit.
The ping pong was unbelievable. Solari, I know you want to talk, so hit me.
Miatek. My boy Miatek. My brother Miatek popped off so much today. I don't even know where to start here, where to begin, because he was exceptional in those team fights, honestly, especially in the last ones. If you rewatch the last 2 fights, I think Miatek was absolutely on point there. But aside from that, yeah, the early half of the game wasn't really looking that promising for Bulldogs. There were the moments where you're like, yeah, I think the 5-way tie is not really happening.
Yeah, I mean, here it is, right? This is what I talked about before. They were already slightly ahead at this point, but looking for the pick, and Exofang will be rotating down. I think he claims the kill on Marlon. Yeah, there we go. That's the easy cash out. It becomes a bit messy, a few TPs invested, but turns out to be a huge win for Bulldog. And this, you felt confident. They got the void grubs after, and then Solari, you rightly highlighted, it became a bit more messy, and these fights really balanced on a knife's edge.
It was the case of both teams were sometimes finding extremely good openings in those team fights, but sometimes, like in the fight that we just saw, why was not still there, for example? Why was he going back on this Olaf with such little HP? And there were so many little hiccups like that throughout the whole game for both of the teams. It's just, in the end, it's either the Bulldog had a little bit less of those hiccups, or they just got so much ahead early enough in the game that the hiccups didn't really matter.
Luckily, I see that smile because I know what's happening in the background. Everybody keeps talking about his predictions. He's 3 for 5.
This is called, I would normally say this is called delusion, but I woke up feeling a 5-way tiebreaker. And sometimes your delusion might just start coming true. It isn't home yet. They haven't brought home the bacon, as you would say, but I am smelling a potential 5-way tiebreaker. But this was talking about these messy fights, right? There were more of these, but this was a fight where you thought, Bulldogs are winning, they're losing, they're winning, they're losing. Lunas dies way too early here. And Nata, free to really hit away until Miatek, you highlighted him so rightly earlier, so right, comes in, turns the fight around. We don't have enough time to go through the whole replay, but Cayman sticks up in a bush, finds Peng in the end as well. Like, it was so close, but we ended up woofing on the desk because Bulldogs did the impossible.
Can we address the elephant in the room, please? Sorry, because we've been highlighting so many players already. Can we talk about Cayman? Because I feel like he deserves it. We cannot stay silent about him anymore. This was his game. This man, when he's on Ahri, this is a completely different Cayman from whatever you're used to. This guy, I don't know how he was finding those angles on Ahri, because he went with that Rod of Ages build that we have been discussing already here today throughout the whole day, but after that, he was still dealing insane amounts of damage to the enemies, first of all, because he was in the right places in those team fights, and second of all, he got so ahead of everybody. He was full build so early on in the game, and nobody could match him, and on top of that, nobody could really catch that Ahri, because there was no reliable control apart from the Ash Arrow to stop that Ahri from going around.
Solari, I love what you're saying, because it is absolutely key. The damage he had was immense. I've never seen an Ahri hurt this much, especially with the Rod of Ages build. And the Q through what was a very good Lula assault. You thought for a second here as well, they might have lost it. Peng was pretty much untouched. But yet again, it came in. The balls on this man to flash in or dash into the face of Peng with little to no HP left. And again, on Nata, the hero Bulldogs needed. Look at the gold grab. Is this a course in Tour de France? No, it's your average NLC game. These hills are going up and down.
We talk about the mountain, but this is a mountain, and they built this mountain. He came in like a wrecking ball with this, Adi. It was beautiful to watch it. Yeah, that pivotal moment. Oh, you just got it. That pivotal moment on the base, where somehow Peng ultimates everybody within the base. Still wondering what was the objective, but that Adi was the one. The Q from the Adi was just gorgeous to begin with. I don't know. Okay, I gotta give it. When he fails, but when he succeeds. You gotta give him credit. You gotta give him as overdue. Yeah.
I mean, he had an insane game on Talia previous week, just a week ago. Now he's having a really good game on Ahri. I want to see him succeed like he did just now on that Ahri, but on a bigger variety of champions, because then Bulldog will be unstoppable.
Yep. I think just shortly, right? It is a very good point that I was making, because this was something we saw in winter. You're like, Cayman? Oh my god, his Ahri is really good. And then another champion like, Cayman, he's alright. We need to see this Cayman is really good on more than just the Ahri, because, I mean, he felt like, I don't want to say single-handedly because everyone stepped up, but I'm gonna say it regardless. Single-handedly dragging Bulldogs over the line here in some of these fights. And, I mean, his Ahri needs to be banned.
I agree. If you take out the Ahri, or if you don't even need to take out the Ahri, when you get into the playoffs, and we get to that moment where you have the fearless mode,
exactly.
You get one.
Yeah.
What's after?
And then what? And then what?
Yeah. This is the seeding stage. This is the best of one. And this is also us. We're waiting for the interview with Bulldog. As soon as we're... Oh, there you go. We have it. He's Portuguese, so he's always late. It's part of the blood. It's part of the blood. Lula, step in. How you doing, bro? Welcome back. With a smile. How's your blood pressure after this game?
It's comfortable, you know. Like it's okay. I don't break under pressure. Maybe if I was the one dying, but it's just my team around me. It's okay.
Man, there's actually a way where we might get a 5-way tiebreaker tomorrow. Are you aware of that?
No, I was not aware, but that sounds really, really crazy. What? How is that even possible?
Everybody seems to be finishing like 2-2.
Oh,
And if
no.
that happens, it's a 5-way tiebreaker. Yeah, you have to play a lot of games tomorrow.
Okay, fair enough. Let's
Welcome.
let's see what we can do next game. Try and prevent that. Hopefully, fingers crossed. At least to do our part.
Boss, previously everybody was looking at Bulldog Esports as the underdog. It's no longer the case, and it's getting a little bit rougher for you folks. Do you think it's because the league itself, like the whole league, got a little bit more scarier and hard to play within, or what is happening?
Surprisingly, I think the league level went slightly up. Yeah, like just looking at across the board from the rosters, I think it's like slight upgrades here and there, which I like to see. I wasn't really hoping because obviously there were a lot of big names coming in. There was speculations: are they going to stay for more than a split? Is it just like a one split thing? Well, clearly some of them did stay, and some new ones came in, like Kobe and stuff. I think it's really interesting to see. I mean, let's see what they can build. Obviously, we remain the same, so nothing to comment here from Bulldog. But everyone around us, I like that the league is stepping up. Even being a minor and having such big names is always nice. I think it makes everyone really try hard and want to do good in this league. So, hey, I'm all here for it.
So far, it has been clean from you, but I gotta put in the question. Everybody keeps talking about Cayman with Izadi. Things are looking good. Things are looking wonderful. But what about other champions? Can we trust other champions from Cayman?
Right. We're working on it.
Wow.
No, but honestly,
I
I was listening to you guys and I was like wondering, are we really just an RE team? Like I wasn't expecting that before we played our first RE game, because to be really honest, before that one game where we pulled it off, I don't remember against who, it wasn't like priority for us, but it just looked good on that game, and then we performed so well, we're like, hey, let's give RE more of a shot. And now obviously we play it often, but I feel like we have other champions above Ari, like commonly. It just so happens that against so many teams, Ari just looks good. And obviously she got buffed in the meta, right? So, hey, more Ari games, I guess.
So, okay, yeah, it solves itself. The issue solves itself. If you go into playoffs and if you look into Group A and Group B, is there any team, because we might as well start asking this, is there any team you really want to pair against? It's not like, I want to go, no, you want to go there and beat him up, like you did to Ruddy on the Winter Split, remember? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I do remember that. That's unforgettable memories. No, but for a new team to do that too, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe Verdant, just because, they had a little revamp around the team, and clearly they were like our direct opponents last split. At least I felt like they thought they were better than us. We were trying to be better than them. We ended up being better, so awesome. But let's see what they can do with this revamped roster. I'm really hyped to play against them if we end up, if the future holds that for us. But if not, obviously Los Ratones, I'm really excited to face them again, because I think we improved a lot. We had a lot of like rookie issues last split. Even this game we showed a lot of rookiness as well, but I feel like at least in practice things are way more controlled, and just we're focusing on issues that are above rookie mistakes, I would say. So it's completely better than last split, I would say. Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Thank you so much for another interview, Lulu. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and best of luck on the 5-way tiebreaker if it happens.
Oh, yeah.
I'll see you soon.
We're ready.
Oh, they're ready. But we're also ready for the next match. We have the 4th game of the day coming up. It's going to be Nord yet again versus DMG, who are looking extremely tough to beat. Can the Phoenix fly? Or will DMG just do some damage? I'll see you soon. Don't go anywhere. This is it. Big opportunity to Nord to clean what happened in the previous week. Getting that 2-2 and making things really complicated for the seeding stage. Or will DMG keep climbing with the team they have available right now? It's do or die, or it's a tiebreaker on every single part of Group B. At least Group A is solved.
I think
Thank God.
You guys know. Let's head into this first. Let's talk about this actually, because DMG looked really good in game 1. Nord, less convincing, but they got the win that they needed. And I need to see them build on this game, because otherwise I think DMG might be favorites.
Honestly,
DMG?
yeah. If we compare DMG from today to Nord from today, the Nord in their victory were much less convincing, because DMG looked like they had a clear game plan going into the game. Nord were just having it messy, and I have a feeling that if Nord don't fix their messiness by this game, DMG might just have an upper hand.
There's never a game so far where DMG hasn't locked in first blood, and this allows them to always to run a little bit with that lead in the early game. And we've seen when you put him up to Nord that Nord is the opposite. If they don't get that first blood, things get awkward. That 33% of first blood was from today, if I'm not mistaken, which was the game they were capable of coming back. So keep that in mind as DMG. This is the team. So far we've been talking about all of them, and now Dandom actually was a good piece of the puzzle towards this team.
He wasn't a good piece of the puzzle. He was a great piece of the puzzle. He completes the team so much. I was really happy to see him playing today, because honestly, the whole team was playing really synergized together. But Dandom, I believe he's playing Xin Zhao today, and so far all of his picks have been very team-oriented, and he continues to be that type of the jungler who really wants to be playing towards his lanes as much as possible.
Yeah, I think DMG, they were great game 1. I flexed this jersey proudly, showing the Danish flag, showing the pride. But I'm gonna be honest, I should burn this right now, because I do not care. We are all in on Nord.
Oh no.
If I want that 5-way tiebreaker, and that's what I've committed my life to today, I need Nord to win. So I'm all here for the Phoenix, I'm here for the big names, I'm here for Polska Godum. And I'm throwing out the Danish pride for now, because I'm here for that 5-way tiebreaker, and that requires a Nord victory. If Nord win here, we are guaranteed tiebreakers.
I don't know about you, Archer, but he's convinced me.
But what? Just like that? Okay, we're jumping to Champion Select. We don't even get an opportunity to fight back. DMG versus Nord. If DMG wins this one, the group is a little bit more stable, and DMG are able to run away with that first seed if things end this way today. If not, best of luck to everyone. It's full chaos, it's full mayhem. I don't know. Poppy being removed from Vizichachi. Bucci highlighted it. It's the most powerful laning phase top planet in the league.
You mean Poppy or you mean Vizichachi? I think you mean Vizichachi on Poppy. Or honestly, just Vizichachi. Vizichachi has been insane both in the victories and in the losses of Nord, so that makes sense that at least 2 bans already from the side of DMG are targeted against him. But no, they're not really far away, because again, we have the Jace ban versus Buchu, who has been playing really good Jace, and we have Lilia ban, interesting enough, against Dandom, and thank God they remembered the Gwen exists. But banning Gwen on the blue side, there is a plan for DMG going into this game.
Okay, we get the Gwen ban. I think that's a strong beginning, right? We really need that. I am surprised that DMG don't ban it on blue, because you would expect them to first pick it, but I assume with what we've seen Dandom play, he's not the type of guy to pick it up, and Bucci probably has other priorities. And it does lose a bit of its strength if it isn't flexed. Something that we know won't be flexed, but Bucci likes to play is the Cassandra. I think that's a fine first pick. It's safe, but yeah, it's
uninventive. Okay, no, they go in Divide. That's a little bit more interesting now, because now we can have Dandom and Beesgard playing together. Now we can have some really fun pairings there for DMG, or maybe Bucci and Dandom. All depends on what DMG's game plan is going to be, but I'm glad it wasn't Xanthi first pick.
Yeah, I think it's just a very standard safe pick, right? It doesn't open many doors, but it's a solid beginning. Instead, they go for Divide, which is, if drafted around, really strong, but can also fall flat in game. Another.
Oh my God. Okay, no. Nord win. Sorry for the spoiler. Yeah.
I mean, we need it for the 5-way tiebreaker. I wouldn't be against it. I definitely would not be against it, as that power pick does slip through the draft. You could take the Cassante here if you just want to secure yourself a very strong and safe top side, but instead locking in the strong support. The support pool hasn't been trimmed much, but I get the rail priorities. He's so strong, and especially in unison, right? They're grouping them all up together for the Skylar just to kidnap them all and move them into the team.
You want to see a strong mid laner for Nord now. You want to see something that will work with all the control that Skana and Rel are going to give you. Alternatively, you can put Inax on something strong, but considering how explosive Zviro was on game number 1 on his Ahri, I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be the second Ahri game in a row for him.
Yeah, makes sense. Bring in the Ahri. On the other side, you already have a stable one. Azir doesn't have that CC that you want to rely on to pair up with the Vi at the beginning of the game. But the damage is going to be ridiculous. Getting the Vi, if you get level 6, you're safe.
Yeah, it's back to basics here, right, for B-Score. Going back to his mage root that he has so deeply connected within him. Maybe the Cinder would have worked a bit better in the 2v2, but nonetheless, I think the Azir is totally fine for him. I thought the Cassante would have been a decent safe option, especially with the Rumble being banned and the Gwen also gone, but no, they go with the AD carry instead. You would assume them, if Nord now doesn't pick up in the AD carry pool, just to be trimmed out a bit in the rest of the draft as try hovering through some different options. Goes for the Talia instead, and I mean, you know, all 3 of these dashes, or champions can dash, so fair enough, I see the value.
So far for DMG, the topic that I'm seeing there is we want to have a really strong objective setup. We want to have very good long-range poke. We want to have a lot of control into you if we decide to all-in, or if you decide to all-in onto us, which would be a big mistake. DMG can fight really well around the Dragon Pit, around the Grubbies, but it's not over yet. I want to see what is going to be happening for Bucci, because Bucci has been such a big player in the previous game today. Is it going to be another Renekton-like angle for him?
That would be big.
Yeah.
They do have a bit of AP damage, or they have a lot of AP damage, I want to say, in the Azir. It can definitely be a solo AP carry, but you do have a very one-sided damage profile outside of that if you go for the Renekton top side. We'll see what he ends up with. Wouldn't surprise me if we see him on a bit more on a tank and you just play around your 2 carries you already have locked in. I think it depends a lot on the matchup he gets against Vizicachi. I assume he wants to be safe in lane. He just spoke very highly of Vizicachi in the interview in terms of his laning phase, so I doubt he wants to take too many risks then, knowing he could likely be beaten. But we'll see. He doesn't have the counter pick, so AD carry now for Nord, and then obviously you want to favor Vizicachi.
Has
gonna be
been
another
the go-to
Ezreal.
button, yeah. So you go for the Ezreal, you go for the skill shots. That's the usual one. I was hoping for something more stable-wise in terms of damage, where you don't need that long to get online. But you're fighting Corki as well, so might as handshake that part. Now you finally have to reveal where Bucci is going to play on the top side, so you won't be able to get the counter pick versus Chachi.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cassante is still open. You could just go for that and say, I'm fine blinding it. You've removed the 2 strongest threats against it, and it's something we know Bucci can succeed on. Yet again, though, the problem is, will he accept it? Yes, he will. He can also do some damage on it. I think that's the best possible choice you have. Kolmsky, we know he likes to play his engages. The Leona is banned. What else do you then pivot to? The Nautilus. So, very predictable here, I want to say, on the last 2 picks for DMG if they do lock in this Nautilus. But my question mark is now, Vizicachi, what will you do with this last pick? Because you want it to be game-defining.
And there is no Gwen, there is no Pepe available for Vizicachi anymore. DMG are very well rounded. They have a really good front lane right now, really good follow-up for Vi, a lot of control. If this, I mean, they're going through options right now, and I like all of them. I feel like Vizicachi is the player who can excel in all of them, but if this Ambassador does happen, this is going to be so big with all the knockouts, with all the control, with all the mobility that she provides, and it is going to be Vizicachi playing on Ambassador. If that's, I don't know, I'm just thrilled about this one.
It looks like Nord got the upper hand.
Yeah.
Oh boy, it's a 5-way. I don't know. This is gonna be a lot of tiebreakers. Duckling, what's your final takeaway?
I think Nord have a better draft, but I think DMG have a standard one. They can win it, but my key takeaway: if Nord win, we are guaranteed tiebreakers. A 3-way or 5-way tiebreaker. So, you know, an extra day of NLC if you want that. You're cheering for Nord.
Salati?
Nah, I'll go against him. Nah, DMG wins.
You're such a hate watcher,
Easy.
man. This is unbelievable.
Yes.
Hey,
I'm calling HR.
is split. Duckling, you're so biased. You know what? I need this from you, Initialize. You're the smart and well-spoken individual. If Duckling is biased towards everyone, is he even biased? How does that work, initialize? That was my toss to casters, by the way. We go to casters.
The answer to that and the term you're looking for is sellout. Duckling, you're a sellout. You have no morals, you don't stand for anything. And if you stand for everything, do you stand for anything at all? Pathetic, man. Pathetic. We love him, really.
Couldn't have put it
As
better.
I decided to throw him under the bus, as I will now do something slightly similar to my color caster. Georgia has strong words about Vi and how you draft with said champion. And you had a particular phrase you kind of wanted to call this Vi comp.
First of all, this is a Skarner comp. This is not a Vi comp. This is a naked Vi, okay? And bear with me, she's still wearing clothes.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay,
PG
just to
friendly.
clarify.
PG
Right,
friendly.
yeah. Not
She's
that
still
scene,
wearing
okay.
clothes. However, the whole point of the Vi, which we saw earlier on, is that she will either have artillery with her, so when she goes in, someone capitalizes on the CC but doesn't commit a body, or she has bodies with her, like an Ari, an Akali, stuff like this, to actually commit with her to kill someone. Right here, I'm seeing, initialize, the perfect front-to-back composition from DMG. And suddenly, a Vi has spawned in the jungle. Call me a hater all you want, I don't care. But a B1 Vi that turns out, hey, maybe Skarner would have been Biz in this comp. Oh boy.
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, Cassante, Azir, Corki, and obviously the Nautilus very much so, but you do have the ability to go forwards on those jumps. We've seen huge shuffles from Azir's over the years, for example, and that can work as follow-up. It's just like, not exactly the smoothest way to do it. It's not your best in slot options with that, and sometimes Vi really needs that. There is no equalizer follow-up. There is no Ari or Kai'Sa joining you in the same way on the dive, and another side of this, I think the stat has gotten better since, but there's been a point in top flight League of Legends where Azir in this year was something like 1-13 into Titleer. It was a rough matchup. It's just not been particularly pleasant for Azir. It's gotten better since then, so that stat has improved somewhat. But I think Bizguard here, into Titleer, into the Rel, into the Skarner, ain't gonna have fun if he tries to dash forwards with that Vi.
Okay, hear me out. I'll give you the silver lining.
Go on.
Ezreal is super slippery. The only two champions that can pin down champions like Zeri or Ezreal are Nautilus and Vi, because it's point click, follows through the whole way. I feel like this is the one saving grace for the Vi right here, that you can always pin champions like Ezreal in this particular composition. Now, if you look on your minimap, top right of your minimap, you'll see that Zvero has pushed in his lane, and he's actually hovering around Dandom. There is no smite on this Vi, and he's super low on HP, so he's gonna be forced out.
Level 2 Vi. Stop playing with tactical forward. Dandem doesn't have the cooldowns. Gonna get auto down surely. The rock slide comes along and buries Dandem for first blood to Nord. Great punish on the attempted counter invaders. Jankos now goes to his own side of the jungle to pick up his own red buff and leave Dandem in the dirt.
I have feelings and thoughts and feelings, but I'm gonna put my professionalism before anything right here. Chatterman and Initialize and everyone else watching, this is a very rough start for a Vi. It's very difficult, especially if you're not even with current jungler that you're playing against, or even ahead. In this particular one, you are the more aggro jungler, you need to be ahead of the Skarner. However, right here, Skarner will be playing straight into the Vi and fist fighting. You'll go towards the Heartsteel that we've seen, and you can actually, if you're ahead of the Vi, you can actually fist fight her down. And as you can see, bot lane is struggling with Prio, mid lane has been struggling with Prio, and top lane, when you have the Cassandra, he's more of a neutralizer towards Ambessa. Nothing crazy there. Oh, hold up, Nash.
That's crazy as Fateski blasts his way forward with the Valkyrie to try and get the kill. The staggering blows. 2 gets a dive back as Inax, though, has got the barrier and the damage to make it a 2-for-1. Nord off to the races.
Wow, Inex with the 2-0 that early on, 3 minutes in. He's gonna get the tier, he's gonna get swords as well in his inventory. Straight into a Sheen, actually, forget what I said. Ace is gonna be a lot of poke, and I feel like that's scenario number 4, guys. Step number 4, Nord has to beat DMG for potential 5-way tie, and I hate Duckling for this, but I think he orchestrated that. Oh boy.
God, I saw the roam coming on forward, and Dandem just doesn't get to play the game. Vi stands for violence, but it's only against herself. 2 more kills to Nord, who are reading this poor Vi like a book and tearing out every page they find.
I do not know how DMG claw the way back right here. Bot lane is going to be permanently pushing, and right here, because they saw Nautilus mid and they killed him, look where the lane is. Fatesy cannot walk up. Thankfully, his wave is pushing towards him, but you see that Inax is sort of delaying it by just last hitting to force the Corki to try and overextend to get a couple of creeps right there, but bot lane's going to be shoving. Zvero has always been shoving with the Talia. Ambessa top lane, Chachi always shoving as well. This is going to be absolute misery for this fight. I feel like the second Jankos is very close to his first item, has a few more crystals in his inventory. He's just going to be permanently invading, taking those neutral objectives. I mean, it's a 2,000 gold lead 5 minutes in. This is brutal.
And there's still so many camps for Skarner to take. She's going to use a bit of that tempo advantage to grab a hold of this Infernal Dragon while the Vi is kind of stuck trying to figure out where she should be on the map. We'll get a respawn on the Raptor camp, and that's nice enough, but 0-2-0 is a crap place to be. You know, this guy just about gets out of range of the Unraveled Earth before stunning themselves up, but is taken down to 10% HP. Jankos and Nash looking to catch out the Vi again, who needs to retreat to her own jungle before she dies once more on a camp.
Damn, Zvera's been lane kingdoming today. His Ari game plus this one. Oh boy, oh, not anymore.
Oh, Bizgard down to 20% HP,
impossible.
can't play. Jankos is going to find Dando.
Yeah.
They back away, but there's grubs up, and what does this Vi do?
He can't take his Gromp. He couldn't even take his Gromp. He got pushed out of taking his Gromp. Bizgard has to catch the wave, and I'm telling you right now, if this was a solo queue game, somebody would already spam in 2 letters in the chat. I'm not going to say which 2 letters. This is very difficult, a very hard situation to be in. You're playing overly scaling champions. You thrive at 2, 3, 4 items. You want to play for late game, front to back, team fights, and basically the one that would bridge the early to mid. I think this is why Dandom was put on the Vi duty, to try and sort of be that bridge to get to that scaling part. They shut him down level 1 with that invade.
I mean, they go for the invade. Vi is not a champion till level 3. I'll shout out Gilius, and I will dominate for having that conversation a few times. Because basically, until you get all of your abilities, Vi is super punishable. And she's in the enemy jungle, and Sphero goes, cool, I'll drop half a wave. Let me go punish you. Flash for flash, kills off Dandom, is actually now up 10 CS anyway. And that just sets up Jankos, and we all know how Jankos is when he's got to read on where an enemy jungler is going to be. In a great position, gets the early sets of objectives, gets the early gold leads across the board for his team, and Nord now set up for success. We're looking to ensure we end up in a position where we are guaranteed tiebreakers. Nord win here today, and we get at least a 3-way tiebreaker. Hell, if Lightside win at the end of the day, we get a 5-way tiebreaker as an all-out comes on through here, but I think it'll just be a trade of ultimates. Chachi.
Yeah, and I feel like as an Ambessa, you're like, ha, I'm the Cassante now. You used to be the Cassante, and you might still be called the Cassante, but I'm the final boss in this iteration of 1v1. And I feel you, I hear you. Tiebreakers are always fun, but also what a redemption arc from Nord. Playing with yet another sub. You never know what's gonna show up on your screen, right? Like, No Way hasn't been there for 2 weeks. They've been screaming with different players. I'm gonna hold on to that thought, though, because of the 3 versus 1, and Bucci has 0 mana.
There's a Rock Scorpion and a Rock Mancer, and Bucci might be eating a base full of them very shortly. Not taking aggro yet. Now they go unstoppable, trying to buy some time with that Pathmaker, but he's going to have to flash out of the seismic shove. Stays alive bot side. Damage going on to Nord, who are being ganked in their own right, but hold the line. And no one dies on either side of the map. But hang on. Pharaoh. Weaver's walled again, has interrupted Bucci's back. He's now stuck under the turret. Has no flash, has no ultimate. And doesn't look like he has much hope of getting out here alive. Eyes on Dandom, though. Maybe ability to try and gank bot side as well. Bucci going to try and spy, but there's the Unraveled Earth Ghoul. Pathmaker to no avail is just a path into a grey screen. Dandom on a Grump, and you're going to come and fight him over this. Will finally smite to get the camp. Poor Vi having to brawl for any camp she picks up.
I feel like Bucci is doing Lord's work up in the top lane. He kept 3 people busy, then he kept another 2 people busy for so long that Dandom was able to enter enemy jungle, grab a few camps. Bot lane were able to fix their wave, push a little. Mid lane, Biscuit actually, I think he took a tower plating if I'm not wrong, and now he's roaming towards that bot side. However, Nord is going to be way too far back underneath their towers, but buying so much time from Bucci actually gave a breather to DMG to actually hit towers. As you can see, one plate taken from that mid lane, which is going to be taken back by Chachi here.
On the reset, Chachi goes mid to pick up that wave, and of course, it comes out as Vero's pocket, who dropped that 10 CS lead to make that roam top. But hey, he's 3-0-1 again. Off for the races with 1,000 gold leads, 2 games, 2 roaming mid laners, and value found on said roams in pretty consistent fashion here for the substitute.
Absolutely. Linking them into insane roams, as you mentioned. Vera has been on point today. And since a lot of people were wondering why I call him Zvero, when he did join the LEC, we were given a voice memo by their team manager with exactly how his name is supposed to be pronounced, and it told us Zvero.
That was the way I was always told to say it by the various members of Team Zero. So that's the way I've always done it. And if I'm wrong, then I apologize. But there we go. Going off the info I have. But you know what? When you spell your name, interestingly, relative to English speakers, sometimes people who aren't English speakers will get it slightly wrong.
Very true.
Well, this is where we're at as Dragon number 2 Sports. Nord likely to pick this one up, as I don't see any real opportunity to contest. Dandem, though, will trade that out for at least a set of grubs, but 2 dragons versus a split on grubs. I'd take the 2 dragons, bluntly.
Oh, absolutely. But at this point for DMG, you don't have much of a choice, Initialize. It's not what you're picking as DMG here. It's what's left for you. Picking up the scraps even for Dandom is pretty crucial right here. However, as you see, Chachi and the rest of the team are going to move straight over the top side. They do not want to give a take on those feats of strength. They still smite onto Dandom, but he does not want a chance because there's 3 members coming in hot towards the top side of the map.
And they chased off the grub anyway, so Nord likely going to pick up 4 grubs and get the might buff, and sure, this Vice managed to match up in the CS. Good job. You've also lost 2 dragons and a set of kills, and of course, not even going to get all 3 of those grubs, which is a rough space to be. And of course, Nord, with those first 3 kills, with those first 3 objectives, earned themselves feats of strength on top of everything else. This game is coming up Nord wherever you care to look.
Yeah.
Aside from bot lane, actually, Fadesky's up 300 gold, so there is that, so you know.
Losing feats of strength 11 minutes in of 3 neutral objectives and 3 kills kind of hurts. Usually it's the first tower that dictates who takes feats of strength, because one team will take the kills, the other one will take the neutral objectives. However, Nord right here, it's been Nord the whole time, ever since that early game invade onto Dandom. However, I will say the pace has slowed down. That does favor DMG. Again, they're playing the wait game. They're playing a slow scaling game. Porky spikes on 2 items. Azir, the more items you add on this champion, the more monstrous he becomes. And we've all seen Cassante Chachi under pressure here.
In danger, does a decent job with that perfect execution. Repudiation shield for a second has got the Eclipse to work with as well. Vault Breaker is sidestepped. Continue to try and build up energy. Flashing away now and is out to safety. And DMG get absolutely humbled, looking to find the play onto Chachi.
That's still fine. That was during resets for the side of Nord. I feel like Chachi was pushing a little bit too far without Nord necessarily putting any pressure on the map. So a little bit of a whoopsie right there from Chachi. However, coming through the base, Eclipse already completed for that Ambessa. So the second time he's back and they try to attempt that, level 8 Vi into an Eclipse level 10 Ambessa, it's going to be a completely different outcome. At least for now, Dandom did not waste too much time. They got the flash off of the top lane. They grabbed the tower plating for Bucci as well. And Dandom continued clearing towards the top side. However, I don't think you need to reset right here. Just go take your wolves. There's nothing on the bot side anyway.
Turret plating will fall soon.
They will try to do Nord. They don't have to do all that much right now. They can chill, keep laning as they have done. Keep trying to look for perhaps Blaze even, as big damage onto Nash, who will finally find that Magnet Storm, as Yangos finds the Impale, looking to shove Karnski into danger, flashes out to safety. Sparrow has joined in with the Weaver's Wall. Whoever comes down to with that Vault Breaker, and Yankos still with so much HP, is just saying, sure, I got Heartsteel, are you sure you want this? Karnski and Fadesky left very low on NX, has a full HP bar to play with. Throws out that Bastion, Bucci low as well as he went all out, and realized he didn't have all that much all to go out with.
No, against an Eclipse onto that Ambessa again. Bucci hasn't had the chance to get his gauntlet yet. Hopefully, he is going to be in his inventory on that one. However, that was a pretty good trade right there from DMG. They played very, very respectfully underneath the tower, hovering between tier 1 and tier 2. And then they allowed Biscard to actually shove in that mid lane as well. It's going to be first tower as well for Nord. Another fight in Yankos, but very low HP bar from DMG.
Have to back away. There's still an angle for Ajax to go flashing on over the wall. Jankos will Ixtal's impact. Can't get flashed away from Fatesky on the Corky. Tries to find his Bizgard. Will shifting Sands out to safety, but I think the Sands of time in this game are looking mighty thin for DMG, the Norwegian org. Looking like they might be falling to their Nordic brethren here. In pretty clean ways as well. Dragon's a minute away, and what on earth did DMG have to say about it?
Yeah, I think I cursed that. I was like, hey, they're playing slow, they're playing calculate between tier 1 and tier 2. They're not necessarily entering their jungle. They know their jungle's going to be taken. The second I was about to say that, whole hell breaks loose. They just overextend, trying to kill Jankos. Killing them. Mercury Treads plus Heartsteel with stacks right now. This Skarner is super duper tanky. Nash thought on the romp towards the top side. I don't think this Cassandra is dying anytime soon.
Shattering Strike lands, but to not really all that much avail right now. Sure, Rel shreds resists with her passive on the autos and the attacks, but Cassante doesn't really care right now. But of course, the problem is Cassante isn't going to win you this game. Vi, as we already said, has kind of been put in a horrible position from a long time ago. Actually, we've got another bump bait happening. Looking at Fateski, overcomes Karmski, gets a good chunk onto the Corky. It's a fair amount back though, as Dandem's also coming on over, and Chachi, without completed boots, is still relatively squishy to the Trinity Force damage. We'll clear the wave at least, but we'll not be able to stick around for too much longer, I don't think.
Yeah, very clever right here from DMG. They push as much as they can, then they pull back. Rift Herald has spawned now on the map, towards the top side of the map. Also has the Dragon. TP is going to be pulled through from Bucci. And DMG, they have first dips in the river since the Azure was all the way to the top side of the map. They have control. What they don't have is a Corky with a full HP bar. He's going to take another shot right here from the Dragon. Not necessarily a Dragon that hurts too much, but still that's a low HP, a low mana, sorry. Corky and DMG are looking to fight. Dandom, RP.
Oh boy, got caught on the side. Public execution comes on in, and Vi is exactly that. Is guillotined on the other side of the ramp. Jankos trying their best to stay alive, will do so. Now throws in the upheaval on double for Chachi, who just keep rolling through him. DMG are being routed. A seismic shove. That's a number 10 on the Richter scale. Another wonderful fight for Nord. 12-1 in kills. Soul points secured, and DMG looking dizzy. That's the term that Trouble is absolutely apt in using today. It's another game where they just look a little bit out of sorts.
Yeah, 16-minute ace coming through from Nord. And what a turnaround. Nord, week 1, lost. Losing their lanes, not being able to find their footing around neutral objectives. What a fantastic team have they showed up to be in this particular week. A plan on level 1 to get Dandom completely out of commission right here. And again, these are the problems that sprouts up with that Vi B1. You end up being punished in that level 1 and you just never come back into the game. And let's watch this one more time. Jankos finds a fantastic ult and Dandom tries to go around. You don't really have much choice. Never mind, we don't either because they're fighting again.
This Nautilus, you might be in a diver's suit, but I don't think that looks safe to be going at this kind of depth, namely 6 feet under into a grave. Once more, 0-5-1. For this Nautilus. We see this occasionally on the champion, but this one looking pretty rough for DMG. Vero, though, jumped on. Hang on, the turnaround's going to come on through as Vero gets a seismic shove in, but will be a little too late. Finally, a second kill on the ball for DMG, but it's a feel-good moment. I don't think it leads to anything else.
It's a 5,000 gold lead. 5,500 gold lead, rather, for the side of Nord. And again, when you play in a scaling composition, being punished super early into the game, the thing that becomes really difficult is that not only do you not get to that power point, the item break point, I'm going to hold on to that thought right here because I feel like Avengers are assembling down the both side of the map.
Well, they absolutely are. We'll see who's going to play Captain America this time around. Nash will decide that's the way to do it. And Chachi's here. Slice dice. And a sundering slam. Let's mix up my metaphors a little bit there. No Renekton to be found, but NX now in danger. We'll throw down the Essence Buck. Arcane shift forwards. They're going to get the damage down as Archie's Vero now coming back on him with the Weaver's Wall. And Karpsky is going to look to die for a 6th time this game. Inax, with that Mystic Shot, brings down the Nautilus again.
Clinical from Nord. They're picking them apart on the side lanes. It is not safe, and that's exactly what I wanted to say. When you start losing towers, the one thing that really struggles is your jungle. You lose full access, not that they had it to begin with. Hold on, I'm gonna stop again.
Speaking of not having access to their own jungle, Chachi misses the public execution of the Emperor Vizier. clearly not on the table. Dandem, though, very much is. There is nowhere to go. Nash will claim it with the shattering strike. Jankos picks up a Herald, and 16 kills in 19 minutes for Nord alone. Every objective but 2 grubs. That's what they've picked up. It is looking dire indeed. Batesky, the lone gold leader, and it's 100 paltry go. That is your gold
stop.
lead.
Your jungler hasn't gotten these raptors ever. Don't take his raptors, man. Don't do
They're
this
just
to
chicken
him, man.
fanatics, you know? It's heading to the KFC and picking up some more popcorn chicken. And definitely on a diet this game. Poor Vi, not having a great time. Jankos will go driving through a wall. Find Bizgard sliding away. Leaves a tier 2 open for business, and Nord will quickly claim it for their own. The real estate game is looking Nord favoured for sure.
Yeah, and if we're thinking, hey,
no. Oh, no. Well, the cease and desist is clearly assigned to Vi this time around. Driven into a wall and then shoved around by a seismic rock from the side as Vero. There's nowhere to go. Brucci goes all out, but he's going to burn down anyways. Inax is dominating. The Sun Disc comes up, but again, it's small linings. 2 more dead for the side of DMG, and they just cannot find a moment in this game. Chachi, all the while, is on the other side of the map, claiming the other tier 2.
Yeah, I feel like Nord are kind of done with this game. They just wish there was a way that you could just enter, like, brute force your way towards that Nexus. As Zver takes a trip through mid lane, I guess, to get access towards the both side of the map. 1 minute. It's going to be a super early 22-minute Soul. And it's going to be none other than Ocean Soul as well. So if you thought you had chances of maybe poking them down with the Azir, with the Corki, that's not happening. If that Soul goes down, Nord are not going to care for the minuscule poke that's coming through that Corki and the Azir. And I feel like, I'm just going to be honest here, I feel like this game is as good as done. 21 minutes into the game. 10,000 gold lead. 3.8k gold lead on the top lane. And wait, Bucci was like, bring them at me. This Chachi guy has been playing long. He's been in the ULCS, LEC, whatever. Yeah, that's Chachi. 3.8k gold up.
Bucci gang has clearly been arrested. Kamsky pulled back by the Magnet Storm. And there's nothing calm about those guys, that's for sure. Batesky in danger. Jankos gets another shove. There is no real way to Valkyrie. Jankos winning in a 1v1 with the AD carry, but is that actually kind of low? Bossbomb comes on through, gets a shield, and there's a shutdown coming on through. But it's meant they've gone too deep. Inax in a 1v2 goes down. Hang on. This is a bit much, Nord. Finding the public execution comes on through and claims back the life of Bizgard. Ends up being a 2-for-2. As DMG actually do find something, I just don't think it's going to mean anything at all in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, I feel